Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Lynn City Council Chambers. I would like to call the Budget Committee meeting of Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 to order. Attorney Lamont and City Clerk, roll call, please.
Chairman Matul.
Present.
Councilor LaPierre.
Present.
Councilor Net. Absent. Councilor Field.
Present.
Councilor Medjugorje.
Present.
I would also like to acknowledge Council President Coco Allenson, who's with us, Councilor Vice President Fred Hogan, who's also with us, and also Councilor Avery from Ward 7. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure we're going to have a couple more councilors join us today to hear out. I want to introduce the fiscal year 2027 City Council proceedings. This is the Budget Committee. It's not a public hearing, but rather an opportunity for councilors and department heads to exchange information and feedback on this year's mayoral budget presented by Mayor Nicholson. We will have a formal vote on this on June 9th, along with a public hearing with the general public, which everyone is welcome to attend. At this point, I'm going to start off today's proceedings with a moment of silence in honor of former City Clerk Janet Rowe, who passed away this week. She was a pillar in the city, and as most of you know, she was always in our meetings. She was always a hardworking person. She was ready to work during our council meetings, so I'm going to ask everyone to please stand and hold a moment of silence in her honor. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to, as we start the meeting, today I'm going to ask all the department heads or representatives who are going to be here today to please introduce themselves with their names and titles as they come up to the podium. And at this point, I'm going to ask Chief Financial Officer Michael Bertino to give us an overview of the 2027 budget. If he can please come up to the podium.
Thank you very much. My name is Michael Bertino. I am the city's Chief Financial Officer. I am going to just give you a quick overview of the budget process, and then I'll speak briefly about my budget. The budget process, from my perspective, starts in early December when the legislative people get together and discuss the overall revenue for the state. And from that revenue, in late January, the governor presents their budget. So the city sends out information to all department heads in mid-January. We then utilize the governor's projected numbers for fiscal year 2027. So the budget before you is submitted using the governor's estimates. Those estimates can change slightly as it works its way through the process. Presently, the governor, the House, and the Senate have all submitted budgets. The final budget will be signed by the governor probably sometime in mid to late June, or as possible July. Once they submit the budget, we'll have some minor adjustments. Sometimes we get a little bit more money, sometimes we get a little bit less. We then start with each department level funding their expenses, with the exception of contractual increases in various third-party contracts. We asked, when they put those together, they put them together on a spreadsheet. If they're looking for 1 or 2 or 3% more for various contracts, we also ask them to put their personnel requests together and their capital requests. So come the end of February, we have a good idea where the budget lies. And the reason why we ask everybody to level fund is because, unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast when you're in a large city. There's generally not extra revenue to go around. This year is particularly important because there's not a lot of Fed revenue trickling down to the states for the cities and towns. So the reason we do the level funded budget is so everybody can have an idea of where we start from. If we can add to it, great. If we have to reduce it, we know we're all on a level platform. So that's how the budget process comes together. We also take a look at the capital and apply capital based on need and try to be proportional with the capital throughout, all city departments. As far as the CFO's budget goes, my budget is, again, slightly reduced in expense side, and we had one person that we redeployed from a retirement from the personnel budget, moved into the CFO's office so we can control and monitor both city side and school side benefits from my office. So you'll see an increase in the CFO's personnel expense line item. That's all because we redeployed somebody from a retired position from personnel into the CFO's budget. Otherwise, my budget has a slight reduction this year to help us, balance it with all the other budgets. But as you know, myself, along with the financial team, which makes up of the Comptroller, the Treasurer Collector, Procurement, IT, Assessing, together, these departments make the financial team, and we administer the general fund budget from that within those departments to the entire city.
Thank you. Thank you, CFO Bertino. One question that I do have is, even though you do mention that we did have a decrease in your budget, and I noticed this with a couple of the department heads, the overall budget did increase about $23 million. Can you talk a little bit about that overall? I know there's
Sure.
specific things. However, $23 million is a huge difference.
Sure. We get three forms of aid. We get cherry sheet aid, which is from the state. We have local receipts, which is from all the fees the departments collect. And we have taxation. Approximately $10.9 million comes in increased cherry sheet aid. The city got about $900,000, and the school got approximately $10 million. Our tax levy went up approximately $8 million, and that is essentially new growth and Proposition 2.5. And finally, from 2026 to 2027, we're projected to receive at least $1 million more in local receipts from our businesses, from interest income, from various sources of the fees that we collect from the city. So those three components drove the budget up $23 million from last year. There's also a couple $1 million in assessments, and those assessments are put in place by the state. It's money that we budget for, but that we're charged back, and those assessments went up $5 million from last year to this year. So those are the three areas that drive your revenues.
All right, thank you. Does the committee have any questions for CFO Bertino? Councilor Field?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, I'm looking at the workers' comp that went in half, and then unemployment. Can you explain the difference of that?
Yeah, we're not anticipating any layoffs this year. It's a leaner year, so those are some of the line items we reduced. When someone applies for unemployment, it's a very rare on the city side, but it does happen. So we have a small fund that we pay those out. Each year we usually put $100,000 in the fund. This year, because the budget's a little bit tighter, we're only putting in $75,000. And as far as the other line item you mentioned, yeah, we're just putting less money in there, but the fund balances from previous surpluses are hopefully enough to support us for the year.
And the surplus goes where at the end of the fiscal year?
The surplus in those accounts stays within those accounts. They're called statutory accounts, and they play for police and fire medical claims related to workers' comp, and also third-party buyouts. So when we have a person retire, instead of the money coming out of, say, the police department for 3 or 4 retirees, it comes out of another fund that's called a statutory account.
Okay, is there an amount anywhere in this budget, or is it through the Comptroller or your office that we would see what the surplus is from years past?
That was something that we have outside of the general fund budget. Okay. We could get you those numbers.
Okay, so just annually, what do you kind of, because I'm looking at a 50% decrease.
Right.
So how do you kind of get to that number knowing like a 50% decrease is okay?
Well, we get to that number out of a couple things. By necessity, but also that I made a free cash appropriation of about $1.2 million back in either January or February to fund those accounts. Yep. The reason we did that, because we knew it was going to be a lean year because of the trickle-down effect of not having enough state aid, of the Fed funding the state, which eventually funds us. We did that once before 2 years ago, but the next year we immediately restored cuts. And it's also very difficult. We have to meet the union obligations. So when somebody retires, there's a lot of extra amounts that we have to pay out. 2 years ago, the state wouldn't sign off on the tax recap because we had a deficit in that account. So we have to keep it reasonably robust. I mean, on the top of my head, there's probably $1 million in there. But if you have 5 or 6 people retire, that gets dropped down 500,000 or 600,000 really quick.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was my questions.
Thank you, Councilor Field. Does the committee have Councilor Lapierre?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, first of all, thank you for getting us this far through the budget process. I know it's a difficult budget cycle. Can you speak generally about, I've noticed free cash as we close out the years under $1 million. Free cash in the FY27 budget will be about $2.9 million. It's low in comparison to a lot of other cities and towns, I think, for our size, city of our size. How comfortable are you going in to the new fiscal year, and what are some ways in which you'll be monitoring that? Or, like you just said, you had to take 1.2 in the winter months.
Right.
To satisfy a line item. Do you anticipate that happening in FY27? How are we going to grow the 2.9? A bunch of questions around free cash.
Sure. So the overall goal of free cash, if you get through a lot of the budget, will tell you that I try to start the year with between 3 and 5%. So between 3 and 5% on a $500 million plus budget is between 17 and 26 million. This past year, so if you look back since I've been here, except for the first year or two, each and every year we've got certified between 3 and 5%. So this year we were certified at $23.7 million, which is something I would tell the mayor that's something I'd take and put on my fridge at home, because that is, we're hitting the numbers.
What, 5%?
Yep. All departments are running on full cylinders if we hit that. The treasurers, the assessors, the collectors, the comptrollers, everybody's doing what we're supposed to do to hit that number. Then we look at and we spend that money on one-time events. So we put $5 or $6 million to expand the Frederick Douglass School. We put $1.2 million into this statutory funds. We put several $1 million into accelerated programs for the Sisson School and for the LVTI school. So all the free cash we generate, we try to put towards one-time expenses. So we did that, and then this year, then we generally ride it out, because you never know what you're going to get out of Mother Nature. So this year, Mother Nature hit us for $6 million. So you'll see ahead of
That was snow and ice removal.
Snow and ice, correct. So we started the year with 1.6. I'll probably have to do a transfer of close to 4.9 million. So I saved the free cash. We spend it out for that. The great part about it is we're not carrying over any deficits into the following year. I only used 2.9 million for capital because I don't like to spend all of the free cash in the year that it was appropriated, because essentially the ending balance of free cash as of June 30th, 2026 at 11:59, when the clock turns over and it becomes July 1st, the ending balance is the new beginning balance. And you never want, when you're in a city this size where revenue can fluctuate, you never want to bring that number down to zero. So I'm leaving, we authorized to spend $2.9 million in this budget for capital, but I'm still leaving $5 million on the table. So, because if for some reason I have a revenue deficit for that, for 2020, I need to appropriate money for a potential revenue deficit. You don't know what your potential revenue deficit can be until the last week of the year, because receipts are coming in. People are walking into the treasurer collector's office every day paying different bills. So I reported to the mayor that our revenue was above average this year. So we're looking again to come out into that probably lower 20 range million, maybe 19 or 20 or 21 that we generate, because free cash is truly, no matter what everybody says, it's truly a measure on how well your budget performed. So we did have a little hiccup with the snow and ice, but that's the first time in 11 years it's been this high. So if it keeps like that, we will rebound very nicely. You know, if we have another back-to-back year like this, you know, we'll manage it. We'll save free cash to pay for that. But right now we're in a good position, and we're because it's okay to spend it as long as you know your budget allows you to generate it. And as long as we stick to the formulas and the modeling that we've developed around our revenue, we should be fine. It's these one-off events like, you know, a bad winter that take a hit. But the budget and the balance sheet is resilient enough to take this hit, not have any, you know, deficits. I mean, years ago, they would allow you to 3 years to pay off one deficit of like this. But we're meeting our obligations. We'll be paying it off in the next meeting, and we'll start the year fresh and clean.
Could I just ask one follow-up as well? I don't know how familiar, but the unrestricted government aid that's being talked about in the Senate right now, where they'll increase an amount perhaps for cities and towns, coupled with, I know this is the first budget cycle that we haven't had a loan to repay due to 2017 borrowing that we did, and coupled with that is the first year of a new trash contract, which I think yielded us some amount of savings. DPW can speak to that maybe better, but in terms of looking at that overall picture, because I know we might get a Chapter 90 supplement that might help a little bit with roads and snow and ice, but can you forecast that into the next fiscal year around Yuga funds, how we're doing the loan repayment back, how much savings did we get for trash and ice and snow Chapter 90 supplement?
Sure. The UG money that you're talking about is really just people politicking. They give you, I think I was looking at an extra $125,000 in the Senate's budget. That's never going to make it to the end result. The end result is when the governor goes to conference committee, signs on the dotted line, that's when I take those numbers and put them into my budget. Last year, I lost $948,000 because nothing that we did, just because the governor says they're going to give more in this and then takes away from another line item. It's
like 9 C cuts.
Exactly. Once the budget is set, we know within 1% of what we're going to get. So if for some reason we lose money this year, sometimes it's the school that loses money because of the drop in population. We just absorb that as the general fund does and make our numbers work, because usually something else at that time will come in higher. And history has proven us correct on this. Sometimes you'll see me asking for a supplemental budget because we got extra money when the governor signed on the dotted line. But that extra money generally goes into reserve, and we use it to get through the year, just like we don't go back and ask people, the school budget actually decreased by $400,000. We don't go back and ask them for $400 back. We absorb that within our own budget capacity. So that's all, like I said, that's a lot of politicking. It's got nothing, very little to do with us. You're talking 3 or 4 basis points on a $577 million budget. That's nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Councillor from Ward 1, Pete Meany, who is joining us. Thank you, Councillor, for joining us. Now, I want to go to Councillor Field.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, I just have a follow-up on that about Mother Nature. Do you anticipate any reimbursement coming from the state for that? And if so, at what period during the year would that typically come?
I do not anticipate. There was a little bit of talk about it, but I do not anticipate any reimbursement. I think the east coast, the Fall River, New Bedford, I think they were 5 or 6 inches ahead of us in snowfall, and I think they'll get refunded. You know, FEMA doesn't do what they did before, giving money back for these types of storms. So if it does come back, great, but I'm not counting on it, knowing the state has a lot of different holes they have to fill.
Thank you.
Does the committee have any other questions for CFO Bertino? No? All right, well, thank you, CFO Bertino. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point, we will call up the Controller's Department. If they can please come up, introduce yourself. We do have a couple new councillors, so.
Yes, Stephen Spencer, City Comptroller. Is there any?
Well, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Can you please just tell us a little bit about your budget?
So, I've been the Comptroller since March of 2012. I've been before this body several times during this process. You know, as we get our information from the CFO, I presented a balanced budget for my department. Basically, we are level funded, and I can live within my budget that I have before me.
Does the committee have any questions for the Controller's Department? Does the committee have any questions?
Just a comment I'd make. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Lapierre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to Mr. Spencer for giving the Budget Committee the easier to read, I would say, versus the booklet. I call it the Munis spreadsheet, if you will. But it's been very helpful to look line by line at the budget. So thank you, Steve.
Sure. Always downstairs to help.
You're in the back cave.
Does the committee have any more questions? Well, thank you, Mr. Spencer. Thank you for joining us. At this point, I want to call the Treasurer's Department to come to the podium, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Elise Fannin, the Treasurer Collector. The Treasurer Collector's Office is responsible for the collection, custody, and disbursement of city funds, while also serving residents directly through billing, payment processing, and customer service functions. Our office oversees the collection of real estate, personal property, motor vehicle excise taxes, and solid waste fees, in addition to processing all revenues turned back by departments citywide. Beyond collections, the office manages the city's daily cash flow operations, including bank reconciliations, debt payments, payroll and accounts payable disbursements, tax title accounts, and investment activity. These responsibilities are critical to maintaining the city's financial stability, ensuring accurate reporting, and supporting efficient day-to-day operations across all departments. For FY27, we are requesting a level-funded budget that reflects the department's continued commitment to fiscal responsibility. Outside of payroll expenses, the budget is primarily dedicated to essential operational costs, including general office supplies, tax title legal services, and mostly our RICO copier, all of which are necessary to support the daily functions of the office. Looking ahead, our goal remains focused on modernizing services, improving efficiency, and maintaining strong financial controls while continuing to provide high-quality service to residents and city departments. One of the projects we are especially excited about for FY27 is partnering with City Hall Systems to implement a new point-of-sale payment system within the Treasurer Collector's Office. For the first time, residents will be able to make credit and debit card payments directly in our office, which is a significant modernization effort for the department. The project will improve customer convenience, expand payment accessibility, and provide residents with greater flexibility when conducting business within the city. In addition, I continue to meet monthly with fellow treasurer collectors from the 12 largest municipalities in the state. These meetings provide valuable opportunities to network, share ideas and best practices, discuss operational challenges, and collaborate on securing more favorable pricing and service agreements from vendors. Maintaining these professional relationships helps ensure our office stays informed on industry trends and continues implementing effective and efficient municipal finance practices. In closing, while operating with a lean budget, the Treasurer Collector's Office continues to manage a wide range of critical financial responsibilities while prioritizing customer service, accountability, and modernization. We remain committed to improving operations, strengthening internal controls, and providing reliable financial stewardship on behalf of the city and its residents.
Thank you so much for that, Elise. I do have one question about your payroll salaries. Your payroll went about $40,000 higher than last year. Can you talk a little bit about that? Did we fill in a new position, or was it just pay raises, or?
It's
a big
pay raises.
increase.
I don't have any new positions in the office.
So it's just pay raises?
Yep. There may have been acting, because we've had some absences. So when a union member is absent for over 2 weeks, another union member can step up, and so we have to pay the regular salary of the missing union member, plus the acting salary of the lower grade employee that has stepped up and taken on the responsibilities.
Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome.
Does the committee have any questions? Councilor Meany?
So one of your, hi, how you doing, Mr.
Hi.
Mayor? So one of your
Just get a little
contractors
closer to the
last
microphone.
year,
Sorry, Councilor Meany.
Say again?
Just get a little closer to the microphone.
So last year, we had a conversation in regards to the fees, how constituents were paying demand letters on mistakes that the contractor made, and they were unforgiven. They still had to pay those fees. Has there been any discussion with the contractor as far as being more lenient or understanding, or if those conversations didn't happen, are we using the same contractor?
I'm not sure what contract you're talking, who made a mistake?
So, not to go into too specifics in a budget hearing, but we had an email last year during the trash fee. Someone paid the trash fee. There was an error, but they were still, then they had to pay the demand fee. And then the demand fee still had to be paid despite the fact that it was the contractor's mistake, the processor.
The bank?
Or whomever was processing our fees, where we send out the notices. And it's not City Hall.
So I think the error you're talking about is many people use their individual bank's bill pay service. Those checks were lost in the mail. They never made it to our leader bank payment processor. So people, when they use bank bill pay, they go online and say, can you please pay this bill to this vendor? The bank then takes the money out of the taxpayer's account, puts it into the bank's account, and then processes checks in the mail to us. There was a period where we did not receive, I'm assuming, a bulk, because we got many calls from constituents saying that their checks haven't been processed, but that's not a contractor of ours. Those are taxpayers' individual banks.
Okay, I guess maybe we could have a more detailed discussion when we're not at the budget hearing, but
Sure.
That would be highly coincidental if a bunch of banks messed up, but it wasn't the processor.
So the bank takes a third-party processor.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with your department.
No,
Okay.
no, we don't hire whoever they ask to make their payment on their behalf.
And writing on that question, is there a processing fee, and who pays for that processing fee?
So if you go to your local bank, that's a contract between you and your bank. That's like me saying, can you go to Visa and pay my Visa bill? So we don't have any connection to them. If I had any say in it, we wouldn't even accept it because they cause so many problems. If they pay directly through City Hall Systems, which is our website, there's a 50-cent fee if they use an e-check. So that money comes directly from their bank account into our bank account. It costs them 50 cents, which is significantly less than a stamp right now. If they pay via credit card, it was a 2.95% fee. At this point, I believe it may have been raised to 3.95%.
I'm sorry, 3.9?
5. So I don't recommend paying via credit card. But the e-check is a really good deal. If they pay directly on epay.cityhall systems, it's only 50 cents.
Thank you. Does the committee have any other questions or comments? Does the committee have any more questions or comments? No? Well, thank you so much for presenting to us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you. So now I would like to call the assessor's office. So please come up to the podium.
Hi, Chris Vergata, Director of Assessing. This year's budget enables the Assessing Department to continue to deliver the high level of service residents have come to expect, while being mindful of overall costs. The department's essentially level funded this year for reoccurring costs. And, the prior support and investments that the council have made in us previously have allowed us to continue to utilize technology and software that improves efficiency and enhances public service. The technological improvements the council have supported have significantly transformed our day-to-day operations, providing digital property records, online services, updated mapping systems, and modern assessment software has enabled us to respond more quickly, improve accuracy, and make information more accessible. At the same time, these enhancements depend on the knowledge, expertise, and professionalism of our staff, who remains essential to the work. The budget also reflects standard contractual salary increases. And, I wanted to make a point to recognize the quality of the current staff in the assessing department. We just hired a new assessor who began this week. It's going to be a great addition, but with our clerical staff and support staff, them utilizing the technology that we brought on over the past 5 or 6 years has really created quite the efficient operation with a substantial workload in the assessing department. We have requested a one-time expense to support the department with cyclical inspections to prepare for the upcoming Department of Revenue recertification of values in FY28. This process involves visiting over 22,000 parcels of real estate every 10 years. So far, in-house, we have completed about 70% of those inspections, and we're looking for a one-time funding source to have some assistance from the outside to complete this in time for FY28. The assessing department work touches many areas of the city government and directly affects residents every day, from maintaining property records and conducting inspections, processing exemptions and abatements, and responding to property owners' inquiries. The department handles a significant volume of work with a strong focus on customer service. Overall, the budget in front of us will allow us to continue to support and enable the department to operate efficiently and serve the community effectively. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that. I do have a couple questions myself. You just mentioned that you guys hired a new assessor. Does that have anything to do with your payroll increase?
No, it's contractual increases.
Your payroll increased. Your payroll salaries did go up by about $42,000.
Yes, so contractual increases, and then we also had a promotion internally, principal to head clerk last year. Our longevity is down due to some retirements, but there is an increase overall. Again, those are contractual increases.
Another question that I have is, I did notice that in your letter you did say that you enhanced the website. Is that an expense that should have been by the mayor's office, because they did spend about $200,000 on enhancing the website last year?
Yeah, that's not for that. That's for our personal page. That's actually funded through the state of Massachusetts from the Secretary of State Galvin, and that allows us to use a GIS system, which is mapping and different data points. So they're links off of the current city website, and that's at no cost to the city currently. So that's something we've been able to implement and present our data. I know for FY26, we had we still have available online, but we have interactive street listings and data, property record cards and everything else. So it really makes it more of a dynamic experience. You can look at every sale that occurred in the city that we use for analysis purposes, and all that. That was not actually enhancing the city's website. They're links off of the current assessing site on the city of Lynn. And again, there was no expense to the city with those upgrades.
Well, thank you. And then my last request before I send it over to the committee, can you talk a little bit about the exemptions that you guys are doing for veterans and senior citizens?
Yes, so over the last 3 years, we had made a priority to both, assist seniors and veterans in a greater capacity. I believe it was 3 years ago, we had doubled the exemptions for senior citizens and also expanded our senior work-off program. That program, at one point, before the support of the council, we offered $600, and it was only about 12 participants. We now offer up to $1,500 a year, and we're past 30 participants at this point. For the veterans last year, under the HERO Act, we were able to also double our exemptions. So a 100% disabled veteran once received $1,000 a year in exemptions, now receives over $2,000 with a cost of living adjustment built in. So that will increase every year. We also, for any disabled veterans under 100%, those went from $400 to $800 with the cost of living as well. So we have enhanced those programs. We have also increased the size of our tax deferral program, which allows seniors who may be on fixed income living in their property to defer their taxes until they either sell their property or their estate takes over later in life. So that has taken some pressure off local residents as well.
Thank you about that. I do know a couple seniors who aren't part of this program, and that's why I wanted you to explain that. And thank you about it. Does the committee have any questions? Councilor Field?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris, and first I just want to thank you and your department because you give us a ton of information when it comes time to setting the tax rate each year. We get all the information, and for many years we've always been fortunate to vote on the minimum tax increase allowed by law, so it helps the residents. So your department plays a key role in helping the CFO with the property taxes. Do you know, and I know you've spoken this before, how much of a difference, increase or decrease of both for property tax, commercial and residential? Has there been a significant increase on one or the other or both?
Primarily, I mean, even going back 10 years and forward, the burden's been moving to residents.
Do you know what percentage?
So we, at one point, we're about 87.5% residential, and we're now up to close to 91% residential.
Okay.
Including personal property in there, we're down to about 3% commercial and 1.5% industrial. So when that burden shifts, someone has to pick up the portion of taxes. That continues to be spread to the residents. Even with, when we're looking at exempt properties, a lot of commercial properties have been purchased by exempt properties, religious organizations. Those comes off the tax rolls, but then it's spread to the other taxpayers, and that being residential.
Do you know how much of a percentage those the non-paying
Pilots or
the
nonprofits?
nonprofit, et cetera?
I don't have a percentage. I know last year we lost $28 million on the tax roll in value to exempt organizations.
Just within the past fiscal year?
That was FY26, yeah.
Okay.
I believe total value is just under $16 billion, and we have about, I believe it's $5 billion of exempt. And that number, though, could be misleading because it does include city property as well. So all of our schools are included in that number.
Right.
What we've seen a lot of is multifamily houses being bought up by nonprofits, a lot of commercial spaces as well.
Yeah. So when say a religious organization buys a commercial property, it comes right off the tax roll?
Yes.
No, again, I appreciate everything that you guys do and work with the CFOs. I know it's a challenge. We see a number of communities locally, having Prop 2.5 override votes. Fortunately, we're not in that situation because of the responsible work that you do, along with the CFO's office and many other offices and departments all working together. So, thank you.
Councilor Meany?
I just had a question on what you said earlier. So with senior tax deferment, where they defer their taxes upon sale or death, who determines the interest rate?
So the council had set it years ago at the lowest allowed by law, which prior to that was the prime rate plus a percentage.
Okay.
And we now set it at the lowest allowed, which is 5%. So it's a 5% annual interest until the death of the applicant or the sale of the property. It goes to 14%, and it becomes the first lien on the property.
Okay, so the city has first position.
Yes.
Okay, just reverse mortgages aren't a very good deal for seniors, and I just wanted to ensure that the city wasn't trying to do something similar.
No, not at all. And one of the tough parts of deferrals is that if there is a mortgage on the property, it's very difficult to get approved because the mortgage company does not want to let that asset go. So unfortunately, a lot of seniors may qualify, but their mortgage company will not give them the okay to enter into that deferral agreement with the city. I think it's a great program for people. Like I said, we got 6 applicants this year, which is significant. I think we have total of 12 right now, and recently was on an Essex County forum, and most communities do not have one or have never done one.
65 or older to qualify for that? What's the age limit?
Yes, 65 and older.
Is there a way to get around that with all these seniors that they, like you said, they qualify, but the mortgage company will not allow them to enter it? Do you guys have any way to help them or go around that, or what can they do in this case?
In this case, it really is up to that mortgage company, unfortunately. The law states that any party with interest in the property must give us written confirmation that they will allow the deferral agreement. I actually just yesterday had my first mortgage company ever to allow it. And that was, a home equity line of credit. That was a smaller amount, but this was the first one I've ever seen them allow it. So hopefully maybe they'll be more accepting of it, but that's been our big struggle, getting other seniors on the deferral program.
Thank you for answering those questions. Does the committee have any other questions or any comments? Councilor Lapierre?
Just a quick comment. I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Mike Fisher. I know he retired in the budget cycle here, or prior to this, and I really never had a chance, or the council never had a chance to acknowledge his long, lengthy years of service to Mike, and appreciate your new hire coming in. I'm sure he's going to be great as well. But a thank you to Mike Fisher for all his years of dedication in the assessor's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lapierre. Does the committee have any other comments or questions? Does the committee have any other comments or questions? Well, thank you so much for presenting to us. At this point, I would like to call the purchasing department to please come up to the podium.
Hello. Tim Leonard, purchasing agent for the City of Lynn. I'm here to present my fiscal year 27 budget for my office. Not much has changed. Level funded from last year, and my expense budget and really has only increased by $1,000 since I've been here. Same staff size as I've had since I've came here in 2018. No capital needs. I like my paneling and my carpet, so I'm pretty basic. And we can live within our budget, so if you have any questions.
Does the committee have any questions for the purchasing department? Comments?
Good job.
Good job.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Once again, I want to make sure that, does the committee have any questions or comments?
Do something about that snow and ice next year.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for presenting to us.
Thank you.
purchasing power.
Right. All right, well, he had it easy.
Yeah.
At this point, I would like to call the Information Technology Department to come up to the podium, please.
Where's the information?
Hello, everyone. My first year finally is under. Actually, I think I started this time last year, just about. So, my name is Mike Kwiatek. For those of you who don't know me, I think everyone here actually does know me. So, I just want to go over a couple highlights, I guess, from last year. I'm sure you're all familiar with what the IT department does. One of the things that was on in my goals for this year was to establish an IT ticketing system. So I'm not going to highlight everything that you've seen here through the budget, but I will highlight what I think was pretty important. So that allowed us to better serve everyone here inside City Hall. Obviously, we can effectively track, identify recurring issues, which we've done. We've been able to plan better for future needs, because obviously when consistent problems come up, it allows us to see that now and track it and replace those machines that need to be replaced, for instance. We've also established a new asset tracking system, so that's allowed us now to start an annual replacement of systems, so we're not just coming up asking for one-time, a large amount of one-time capital to replace all systems at once. So now every year we'll be able to replace 30 to 40 systems, keeping us in that probably 7 to 8 year replacement cycle when machines are ready to be no longer supported, basically. I've reviewed a number of our contracts and maintenance agreements, and there was a number of opportunities for savings there for sure. So we've renegotiated contracts where we could, and one of those contracts was with our MSP, our managed services provider, which I'll talk about now. I'll talk about when we get into the goals and future highlights. We've also updated the senior center network. So now they have better Wi-Fi. I know that was a big complaint you probably all heard, and that should be working smoothly now. And we've also managed to replace just over 100 computers so far in 1 year with a staff of 3. It's actually pretty good, I would say. So that's about as much as we could probably handle upon, also supporting the day-to-day issues of the city. So coming up, I'd like to talk about the transition to a new co-managed MSP. Currently, the managed service provider that we have just wasn't working out. It was causing significant delays. They would, we're paying them a decent amount of our contract, and they would be calling us for help. So it wasn't a good relationship. So we have now severed that relationship, or are in the process of severing ties with that company and moving on to another company named Harbor IT. Right now, so far so good. You've seen some emails, I think, coming from me recently with software changes, new security tools. They use a number of tools that I prefer to use for sure, and it should be easier for the end user to then approve email, for instance, that they're saying that's getting blocked, and they have to come to us to release. They should now be able to do that on their own with more ease. The other tool was inconsistent with how well that worked. We're also going to be releasing, again, I sent out an email, I think, yesterday or Monday. Actually, I'm losing track of the days. Something called Barracuda. It's going to allow the city to now email encrypted. So if they have any PDFs or attachments that have social security numbers, credit card data, who knows, whatever it is, but if you need to send email securely, we didn't really have a process for it before. So this will now allow us to handle that data more securely. Also, with capital approval, pending your approval, we're hoping to replace a lot of the aging fire department switches and police department switches. There's a number of switches that are, 20, 25, 30 years old that we really need to be looking at upgrading to enhance the security of the network throughout the city. And we're also now rolling out new monitoring probes, basically, so it'll constantly be scanning our network, and if it sees anything that's running throughout the network, it'll immediately alert us, so we can, deal with it immediately. Also rolling out another piece of software called Sentinel-1. It's an endpoint protection, so you'll see that on your laptops, for instance. If for some reason you downloaded a virus, it's now more intelligent, where it will just shut off access to the network immediately for just your system, and then alert us, and then we can come out and deal with that effectively. So really this year, we're really focusing hard on securing and putting out better tools. My department certainly has done well, learning all new. It's hard. IT is always changing, and so you have to learn new software. They haven't had a tool set to really support the city, I think, as good as they could, and now we're rolling out a really good set of tools for them to help support. So I guess that's it. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Mike, for presenting. I got to say, cybersecurity is a big concern, and it's in today's world of social media, it's something that we need to put front and center. We get two emails, at least two emails from your department every single day, so I want to thank you for that. And I know you guys are doing great. The last year has been very productive. So I don't have any questions directly to you, but I want to open it to the committee. Council President Allenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike, thank you so much for your work. What a big difference. At least we're not getting email from the Prince of Nigeria now. And it's a breath of fresh air because...
I'm sorry, Council President. Can you get closer to the microphone?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me now?
Just so that everybody, whoever is connecting,
Trust me,
they can hear you.
The sounds is very sensitive with Lynn TV. But I do have some question, Mike. Number one is, in layman's term, I know what's the answer for this question, but when you say about postage, the post, is it for the whole city, correct?
Sorry, you're talking about the postage machine?
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we had a postage, we were responsible for for email, for posting.
Right.
Except for
I just need
PKS.
clarification for it.
Yeah.
Communication and media, can you explain it to us? Because there's like a big jump, like 40% from your last year's budget. What is this entails about?
Communication and media, yes. So I think, now that we have different line items, we can track specifically what we're spending on our internet service providers. So, for instance, the senior centers, we've now taken on their internet service connection, right? Eventually, we'll probably move them over to fiber, but we don't currently have a connection in place that I could utilize to bring them on directly to our internet connections. So we have a primary connection here. We have a backup connection. You probably noticed that I said when we had an issue recently, I had to fail this over to the backup. The police department also has a primary and backup internet connection. If you have, the cemetery, for instance, has an internet connection, so all of that stuff gets rolled into that phone system. So it's just about organizing bills that might have been in different line items now into one line item. So that's what you're saying. You see an increase in that.
So what you're saying is because of these changes, there'll be no more expenses by next year, or maybe because you've said technology changes all the time, so they might keep up.
Well, I'm sorry. So I guess
I know this because this is a very small line item, but the jump is just very...
Yeah, it's more like reappropriating it from different lines. We were paying for those bills anyways, just out of a different line item. So now this year with the restructuring of the budgets, and so, and also I think that we didn't have quite enough budgeted for what we were currently paying. So there was money that would be shifted from one line to another to cover that. So I think it's just a matter of now we're appropriately slotting the bills where they should be. Right?
You answered my question. Okay. And then last but not the least, when you say computer equipment lease, right, from $295,000 from last year to $258,000, is that because we're not leasing anymore, or what was the... Because I've noticed you probably... just explain it to me in layman's term, because...
Sure, yeah.
I try to understand why we save money, which is a good thing.
Yeah. So there was a number of the switches and stuff that and other networking equipment that we had in place, we were renting effectively through our MSP, our managed service provider. And when I picked up on that, it was something that I said, that's too expensive to do that. We can't do that. And so we can save that money year over year it will pay for it in 1 year just by buying it outright with a one-time capital expense. And then year over year, we won't have to spend that money outright. So those little things like that can start to add up, right? So that was just something quickly that I noticed in that contract. So
thank you for it.
Yeah.
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President. Does the committee have any other questions? Councilor Avery?
I just want to echo what Chairman Obed said about cybersecurity and stuff. So it's great to see that you're taking this initiative. I remember I wasn't on the council at the time, but I was here for your confirmation. So it's good to see you guys move in the right direction, and have been helping us along, as well as a new councilor, get organized on our computers and stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Does the committee have any more questions or comments? I also want to acknowledge Councilor Paz, who joined us. Thank you for joining us. Just to go on the record. Does the committee have any more questions or comments? No? Well, thank you for presenting to us.
Thank you.
At this moment, I would like to call Capital Projects Unit to please come to the podium.
Good afternoon.
Good
My name
afternoon.
is Laura Stockfish. I am the Interim Director of Capital Projects. As you know, Capital Projects was created about a year ago and reports to the CFO's office. Thank you for the opportunity to review the Capital Planning Unit's budget for fiscal year 27. Our department's work centers on planning, managing, and delivering construction projects valued at more than $25,000 as long-term investments to meet our community's needs while staying on schedule and within budget. We are responsible for overseeing a portfolio that includes 30 school buildings and 10 municipal buildings. This year's funding supports our ongoing effort to address deferred maintenance, extend the useful life of municipal assets, and improve the efficiency and functionality of the city's facilities. We work closely with the Inspectional Services Department, also known as ISD, to understand existing facility conditions and needs. A few current CPU project highlights include the preparation of the first internally prepared capital improvement plan for the city, the Phase 2 renovations at 195 Market Street involving the conversion of the building into the central office for our school department, while expanding the Frederick Douglass Academy and constructing a new home for the Harold Durgan Success Academy, the ongoing construction of the Pickering Middle School, and several other accelerated repair projects through the MSBA, including Druitt's, Sisson, LVTI, Classical, and Ford, the completion of the Fayette Street Fire Station renovation, upgrading the city's communication infrastructure for our first responders, as well as significant upgrades at Lynn English, including new boilers and the replacement of the HVAC controls at Classical to provide more comfort and a more comfortable environment and increased energy efficiency. Over the past several years, ARPA funding has enabled the city to complete important capital projects and investments, including the refurbishment of several city parks, including Keeney, Linwoods, Kiley, Gallagher, McManus, and some work at Breed. As those funds wind down in fiscal year 27, the Capital Planning Unit has worked closely with the administration to prioritize projects that can be sustained within the city's long-term capital improvement plan. The Capital Planning Unit continues to advance the city's sustainability and energy efficiency goals. Our energy manager and our energy advocate positions, which are supported through grant funding, play a critical role in identifying energy-saving opportunities, reducing our operating costs, and ensuring compliance with state climate and energy requirements. These roles help the city implement projects that lower utility expenses while improving building performance and achieving environmental goals. Consistent with the department's mission, we continue to actively pursue and secure external funding to support projects. This includes grant opportunities such as Green Communities, Mass CEC, Department of Energy Resources, and Mass Save incentives. Leveraging these resources allows the city to advance important capital and energy initiatives while minimizing the impact to the local tax levy. In closing, the FY27 Capital Planning Unit budget reflects a careful balance between addressing immediate infrastructure needs and planning responsibly for the future. We appreciate the Council's ongoing partnership and look forward to working together to advance these important important investments. Thank you, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I just have a quick question. Since you guys oversee the build-out of the casa over at Comptroller, do you guys have any plans on remodeling or fixing that building itself? I know it's an older building. We all have to accept it. It's in really bad shape. But this is something that you guys oversee. Is that something that you guys have in plan?
We do. The infrastructure improvements in the building have been ongoing for several years now. We are making more improvements, phased approach. So last summer we completed some work. This summer we're completing more work. There is still more work to do, but we are working through a phased approach that we can afford and meets the school's needs that will be moving in.
Another question is, in your budget, do you have any work that you're looking at? I'm looking at your highlights. Anything that you wish or that you're looking forward to do? I know I'm talking about specifically my ward, Lynn English High School, specifically the windows of the gym. There's a couple windows that are broken. There's a couple windows that haven't been fixed in 2-3 years. Is that something that you guys will oversee that, or is that something that would have to go through the school committee?
So it depends on the value of the project. So if it is a maintenance item, that would be an ISD item. If we're talking about an overall replacement of all the windows, that would be considered a capital project.
Okay. Thank you. Does the committee have any questions? Councilor Avery?
Yeah, I had a question. I don't know if you knew anything about the Rhodes Chapel in Pine Grove.
It's a beautiful asset in our city. Yes, I know that there is renovation ongoing there.
Okay. So it's still ongoing and still happening.
It's, I believe, also a phased renovation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Writing on Councilor Avery's question, is that something that would have to go through the commission, or is that something that you guys would oversee? Because I know I was on the Pine Grove Commission a couple years ago, and that's when we started fundraising and we started working on the chapel there. But is that something that would have to go through your department, or is that something that would have to go through the commission?
I believe it's currently working through, that project is being initiated through community development.
Oh, through community development.
Before capital projects was separated from ISD, I believe is how that was set up.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor Avery, for that question. Does the commission have any other questions? Councilor Hogan?
Yes, just for a one-year-old department, we see that the budget did go up for salaries, $40,000. And what is that from?
I believe there was a longevity that was added.
Longevity?
And increases for several union positions.
Yeah, but longevity went down and the salaries went up.
Yeah.
Andy retired. I believe it's because we have now additional people on our.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Mike Bertino. I probably should have addressed this sooner. The reality is we negotiated with all city unions after the budget was submitted last year. So you have last year's increase that you're not seeing, plus the projected increase this year. So you're seeing roughly a 6% increase in the budget. So on 500,000, it's 30 some odd thousand. And then as people come and go throughout the departments, their longevity can increase depending upon where they came from, or it could decrease if there's turnover. But it would answer everybody's question, and I should have said.
And Councilman Matul is correct. It was $14,497, and it's going down to $3,439. That's the longevity.
Exactly. That's probably because we had a retirement and the new person doesn't have the longevity. Yep. But the biggest question is the 2 years, because you can't predetermine someone's raise. So the wage money, all the money that went for wages is in the wage stabilization fund. And if you look at the end of your budget, you'll see that number and you'll see this year's number. So that's spread. And there's not one union for each department. Some departments have 3 and 4 unions in one department. So if they don't all settle at once, it's just different. It's just a different way of presenting it. But that's why there's an increase.
Thanks for helping everybody out there.
Sorry, I should have said it sooner. I'm sorry.
Thank you, CFO Bertino. Does the committee have any other more questions or comments? Once again, does the committee have any more questions or comments? No? Well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
for
time.
presenting, and great job.
Jim Lamont, City Clerk, Chief of Elections. Our office is responsible for vital records, professional licensing, and overseeing elections here in the City of Lynn. We are level funded, and we will be able to function within that budget. I would caution, because the sheer number of ballot questions this year, the physical ballot come November will look like War and Peace, and that is unfortunately an unfunded mandate from the state. So we will have to roll up our sleeves a little bit in order to make sure that works. But that's just a function of a democratic process that a certain number of signatures allows something, a referendum to get on the ballot. But I'd be glad to answer any questions from the Commission. Council.
Before I put it on the committee, thank you, Attorney Lamanna. I do want to, number one, I do want to acknowledge former clerk Janet Rowe. Like I said earlier, she passed away this week. She was a pillar in the city. Thank you for everything that she did. I do have a question about your salaries. It's a $70,000 increase. Can you talk a little bit about that before I put it onto the committee?
With the CFO's point, so it's a 6% pay raise for my 7 staff members. So there's 7 employees in my office and myself. Per collective bargaining agreement, I receive educational incentive benefit to the maximum extent permitted under the 3147 contract. So likely there would have been an increase there. Come December, this is my 30th year working for the City of Lynn, so I'll hit my maximum longevity payment this December, and it will not go up any further throughout the rest of my career. So that's where it would have come. There were no upgrades from any positions in my office from one lower tier union to another tier. So it's almost entirely contractual in nature.
All right, I'm going to put it up to the committee. Councilor Allenson had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know the clerk mentioned about elections, and I know this is a serious information about voters' retention, and I know that our CFO is here as well, because Lynn is one of the few cities that is not complying with voters' retention. There's new information out there, and a lot of our voters are not aware, so they need to be mailed directly to them. Either they want to be stick with their voters' information, or what are the things that needed to be updated as far as elections is concerned. They have no way. They're not on Facebook all the time, so they need to get those letters, and there's thousands of them, and I'm not sure if that budget is even in your budget for next year. So I just want the CFO to know that this is serious, and I don't want to see Lynn to be associated with one of those non-compliant city, and I think you, Mr. Clerk, needs to discuss this with the CFO.
Certainly, I have spoken with the CFO, the mayor's office, and the many members of the council. There is some updates on that. I've spoken to the city clerks in some neighboring cities. I've spoken to head legal counsel, the Secretary of State's office. Just as a way of background, in March, the census street listing went out to every city, head of household and every residence in the city. By state law, if you do not return that census/street listing, the city clerk's office must, elections side of the city clerk's office, must inactivate you as a voter. Now, that does not mean come September you cannot vote, but you will be listed as an inactive voter, and you'll be asked to present an ID or a utility bill in order for you to be able to vote. Now, this has never happened before, so I think it's going to potentially cause a lot of confusion. I can say one neighboring city was in the same boat we were in and had never done it before until last year. And I had about an hour conversation with her yesterday. There was not widespread anger or panic with these. So come some point mid-June, the voters will get a card in the mail saying that you are inactive. There's a perforated sheet where you can rip it off. There's postage prepaid, and you can certify that I, Jim Lamont, still live at 22 Breed Street. I had my staff run the numbers today. I was concerned that the cost of this double mailing, so to speak, because we're mailing it out, and then we have to have a return mail, would be significant. And it does not appear that it will be more than $5,000. So from a budgetary standpoint, I think our office can absorb it or possibly request a transfer, depending on what the exact numbers are. The census went out a little later than it probably should have in March, so we're still getting street listing census returns today. So at some point, we'll have to do a cutoff and say to the printing company, this is the list we're going to go by. We might, that someone might have sent it in and we got it afterwards, but they'll have to fill out that certification form. So you'll get something in the mail that no one in Lynn has ever gotten before. And it probably will cause some questions, and there'll probably be a belief that the new city clerk invented this law, but this is a law that's been in place for a long time. And
thank you, Mr. Clerk. I just want us to be compliant.
Sure.
And I just want our residents to be updated and know. I mean, if they don't know, there'll be chaos on the election and stuff. Who is bringing utility bill all the time? So
Thank you, Council President. Councilor Avery?
Yeah, I would just like to have on the record, I am the chairman of the election subcommittee for our great city council. I've already had numerous conversations with our city clerk in regards to this, and at our next council meeting, the city clerk will be talking a little more in detail about this at that time at our subcommittee to inform our residents of this important matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Does the committee have any more questions? Does the committee have any more questions for City Clerk? No? Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're not going anywhere, so.
No, I'm here. Oh, you may have a question.
Councilor Paz.
Yeah, so just one procedural question for the clerk's office, and it's something that I know that you're working on, but standardizing how folks are getting information from the clerk's office. Like, I know some of that documentation is very much like hands, and we live in a more digital world now, so getting it online. And in your office, you've been working on organizing different ordinances so they're easier to find and you can find accurate ones. Like, could you talk us through like what those budget requirements will be and like what that'll look like?
Certainly. So in 1999, we hired an outside consultant, LexisNexis, to produce a municipal code. And it was a lengthy process. They went through every ordinance that had ever been passed from the beginning of the city of Lynn until the present. And they presented the book to the council in 2003. The council approved that municipal code. Per our old charter and our current charter, we are required on a periodic basis to produce a new updated municipal code. That has not happened. Prior to COVID, I undertook updating that municipal code, and I'm working on that now. I'm hoping by September I'm going to be able to present this board with a draft municipal code with some input from departments. Some of the fines need to go up. For example, if someone throws nails in a street, the fine is $5. So it's not even worth writing a ticket for $5 for something that low. So there's some things like fine amounts that need to be updated. But by September, I'm confident that I'll have a document to present to you. We are one of the, if not the only, we're one of the few cities that do not have the municipal code up. And that's something that needs to be done. And it will be collaboratively with my office and the council, who ultimately have to approve whatever that municipal code is going to look like.
Thank you. Thank you. Does the committee have any more questions or comments? No? All righty. Well, thank you, Clerk Lamanna, Attorney Lamanna. Great job. Great job. You're doing a great job. And congratulations on the new position as well. All right, at this point, I would like to call the Personnel Department to please come to the podium. Actually, I'm sorry, Drew. I'm actually going to make a motion to break the order just because I know the GAR, they have a meeting later on today, so I would like to call. Sorry, Drew.
Yeah, you want a motion on that?
Yep. Second. Thank you. I would like to call Patty from the GAR Museum to come up to the podium. They have an executive meeting tonight, so sorry,
We have
Drew.
a meeting at 5 o'clock, yes. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Our budget is level funded, and it primarily pays for the curator's salary and the day-to-day operations of the building. What the trustees have done is look at other options of other sources of revenue to advance the revitalization of the building. As you all know, thanks to ARPA funding approved by the City Council and the Mayor's Office and by Community Development, we were able to complete the elevator construction project last year, which was a huge success, and thank you to all of you who came to the ribbon cutting. There was a tremendous number of people at the ribbon cutting. Doesn't mean the building is ADA compliant yet. We still have some steps to take. We're working on handicap signage in the building, which we've been in conversation with the Mass Disability Commission, and we'll be reaching out to the city's Disability Commission. And in that spirit, what we've done in conjunction with the planning department is looked for other grants to advance the revitalization of the building. So next week, the bid for the repair of the facade will go out to bid. We received a $440,000 grant from Mass Development. And we will have some money left over from the elevator construction project. I don't know how much at this time that we should be able to use. We don't think that's going to be the entire amount to complete the project, but we were advised that we have this money, let's get started, let's get going, and we'll also be looking for other monies. Shouldn't say it out loud, but we've been successful with that lately. We also are going to look at the revitalization of the storefront and look at getting a new tenant. So that will be one of the next steps. And we also got another grant from Mass Development of $250,000 to revitalize that rental property and the storefront. We did an RFP last year, and we didn't get any qualified candidates for the space. But we're going to take a different approach by talking to more people and then go through the process again. So hopefully we will find a tenant, and a tenant that will be paying rent to use the space. The third grant that we just got was from the veteran section of the Essex County Community Foundation. They just started doing grants up to $10,000, and we wanted to be involved in the process. So we decided, as part of community outreach, we would put in for a grant to hold the Bean Supper. Now, Bean Suppers were annually held for veterans at the GAR, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside, and it's something that was also done during the Civil War. So we want to start the process again and bring veterans and the community together in the building, as we did with the ribbon cutting. So we anticipate that that will be held sometime in the fall. And they may have some other grant options available too. So that's what we're looking at to revitalize the building. There's other things, important things that we're looking at that are kind of standard issues. We're looking at how to obtain some sort of funding to hire an executive director to oversee everything, and which will help advance the status of the building. We're also looking at the recruitment of volunteers and advanced committees, which was a recommendation of the consultant from last year, because she felt that that would be the only way we would really be effective and really be able to work to advance the revitalization of the building. We're looking at reconfiguring some space, some storage space, things like that. And we want to continue a lot of community outreach and attend a lot of community events. One of the committees that we've established is a fundraising committee. It consists of members of the GAR, members of the Friends of the GAR, and we do have one community member who is a member of that committee. The things they're going to look at are issues like membership in the GAR, entrance fees to the GAR, and the use of the building by outside organizations. We can accept payment for use of that building. So those are other areas we are looking to financially support the GAR. And also, you should know, the building is now open for tours by appointment. So if you you call the curator's office, you can schedule a time to do a tour of the building. Anyone can do that. And so, do you have anything?
That's fair.
Are there any questions?
Just to clarify, when you say outside use, are you guys going to be renting it for like events and different things like that?
That's our
different
plan.
ceremonies?
That's one of our plans that we can do. You've seen the Grand Hall. Like I always say, it would be a great spot for a small wedding of some sort, or other events. That's our one of our future goals is to do that.
Do you have a timeline when you're going to start doing that?
No,
You just said right now it's open by appointment only, so for like small tours.
For tours.
But it's not open for any.
Not yet, because we're going to have a ongoing construction project also soon, and we want to make sure we can take people through the building rather than having them walk around
and liability
at this
issues.
point. We are that's one of the things we're going to talk about at today's meeting. We're working, it's a slow process on putting a timeline together and prioritizing our tasks. There's 7 of us, so we have to prioritize everything to move things forward.
Well, that's great. Keep us updated, please.
Yes, absolutely.
If I may, Brad Gosselin, Secretary Treasurer, we also have to develop internal policies of how that's all going to work. So the other subcommittee we have is a governance committee, and we haven't yet gotten to the point where we can start working that kind of policy. Right now we're working on bylaws and other governance issues that we need to get settled first. So it will be a little bit, but we will get there.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Does the committee have any questions or comments? No? Does the committee have any questions or comments? Well, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. I will now ask the Personnel Department to please come to the podium. Thank you for allowing us to get out of that order.
Thank you, Chair. How are you today? Drew Russo, Personnel Director. We're the department that works with everybody. We work with job seekers, we work with labor unions, we work with employees, we work with all of you, we work with members of the general public, and we try to be a resource that builds the workplace culture here in City Hall, that transparently shares information about opportunities that are here within the building. We work with our labor unions to negotiate contracts. I'm very happy to report that 6 of our 7 labor unions are in contract now through June 30th of 2028, and we're also in agreement on health insurance through the end of FY28, which I think from a budgeting standpoint will make things more predictable, and as the CEO talked about, in future budgetary cycles, particularly next year, I think that the salary question, I think, will be addressed in a more linear fashion than it had been the last couple of years because we now know and we have predictability on what those wage increases are going to be. We're presenting a level funded budget this year. I do want to highlight 2 items. One, there's a line in there that says that the training line is 0. That's a little bit deceptive. There's a budget line item that's outside professional technical general. That's $74,000. About half of that we use for administrative fees to administer the city's flexible spending accounts. Those are accounts that employees can have pre-tax dollars taken out of their paycheck that they can use for various medical expenses during the year, and we pay the administrative fees for that out of that line item. But the other part of that line item we're using for professional development, for things like leadership coaching, skills-based workshops like our very successful Spanish in the Workplace course that over 25 employees have taken in the last several years through North Shore Community College. We have de-escalation training coming in from a local vendor, Max Bevilacqua, and mindful negotiating this summer that we're very excited about, obviously, in these times. Giving our employees, particularly those on the front lines of customer service, those types of resources are important to help them do their job and to help serve the public better. We oversee hiring and recruitment processes. We've been before you lately, obviously, with the appointment appointment of a new city assessor. We have 2 new assistant city solicitors, which has allowed us to repopulate the law department. CFO Bertino talked about the hiring of a benefits administration specialist, which moved from our payroll line to the payroll line for the CFO's office so that we can have greater cohesion in the administration of school and city benefits. And I bring out those positions for one reason, and it's something I'm really proud of. Those are all people that were working in other communities, Lynn residents that were working in other communities or working for the Commonwealth, that when they had an opportunity to come work for Lynn, they applied and they took it, and now they are serving the people of their own community and bringing the skills and talents and experience to bear for Lynners. And I think that that's something that when we promote and advertise job postings, we want to do, and I think it's very consistent with our residency preference. And because of that, we have seen 857 applications come in for 51 positions. That was just last year. That was an 18% increase over 2024. We're also focused internally, working together as part of a trifecta with our internal auditor, Don Quietek, and our Chief of Community Wellbeing and DEI, Faustina Cuevas. We launched the Workplace Development and Equity Initiative. We've recruited a subcommittee of 10 employees from across city departments, and we're working on things like employee wellness initiatives, more with professional skill building, and teaching people how they can access their city benefits, both in terms of 457s for financial purposes, things like the flexible spending account, so they know how to make these resources work for them. I also want to talk a little bit about the civil service process. We administer the civil service process for the City of Lynn. We recently held an assessment center that resulted in the appointment of a new deputy chief, Deputy Chief Chris Kelly, who has been a longtime member of the Lynn Police Department. And we are working with the police department on a new initiative that was introduced or made possible through the recent civil service reform at the state level that allows us to hire up to 50% of our officers off of a hybrid program that is a local register. And so people can actually, in addition to taking a civil service exam, they can also apply. They take an exam through Get Badged, which is a third-party vendor, and that has allowed us to hire 13 new police officers in addition to 16 that we hired from civil service. And I think Chief Reddy will talk about this next week when he's here. That's getting us close to the numbers that we've always wanted to see, that we've wanted to see in recent years from the police department. In terms of ongoing goals, just a couple I want to highlight quickly. Obviously working to enhance our tracking systems from voluntary resignations to applications and onboarding. The Massachusetts pay transparency law is something that we're paying a lot of attention to. We were already very compliant with it because we publish and we're transparent about our salaries, but obviously that's more important now because it is codified in state law. And then we work really closely with the CFO's office on the benefits, and I want to commend, in addition to my team, Maria Bray, our administrative assistant, Allison Hart, our senior human resources generalist, and Iris Martinez, our health and human resources coordinator. We work hand in glove with Don Quietek and Elise Fannin and Kerry Hodgson, who is our benefits administration manager, and Giuliani Vattini, who's our new benefits administration specialist. She's one of those people I talked about a couple minutes ago. She had been the assistant HR director in Danvers, and now she's bringing those skills and talents to work for the people of the city of Lynn. So, very happy to be before you tonight and to answer any questions you have about this level-funded budget.
Thank you so much, Drew, for that very informative information. I'm going to put it out to the committee. Councilor Meany.
Hi, Drew. How are you?
Counselor, how are you?
Good. So, are there any updates on the tree crew for the DPW? We haven't had a tree crew in a year. Give my frustrations my number one complaint.
I have great news on that. We finally reached agreement with Local 193. We have posted internally the working foreman forestry position. That is in the process of being filled, and we are going to be getting the tree crews up and running post haste. And I think Mr. Donovan will be able to talk more about that from his end when he's here next week.
Awesome.
It took a long time, but we finally got it done, and it was a great collaborative effort. The CFO, the DPW management, Mr. Donovan more recently, John Slattery in his capacity as labor counsel, and Mayor Nicholson really driving the bus and really keeping on us to work with the union to get this done, and many thanks to them as well.
For you folks at home, that's great news. We'll be able to cut down or trim some of your trees now.
Amen.
I'm sorry, Drew, you said local 1903?
193. AFSCME Local 193.
That's great news.
Yeah.
I think it's us as councilors, we're at the front line, and we're the ones who get all the calls about that. So thank you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more with Mr. Donovan next week. Does the committee have any more questions? Councilor Field?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Drew, you talked about benefits. I believe it was probably about a year and a half ago that Mass Retirees was able to negotiate an increase for life insurance for the state workers. I know we talked briefly about that during the negotiation period and stuff like that. Is that more during negotiations with the unions, or is that something that's done kind of like in the interim period between now and fiscal year 28? You said the contracts run through.
Sure. So we did have an initial conversation about that about a year or two ago, and I would defer to the CFO to talk some more about the financial implications. I do know that we had an initial conversation with our underwriter at Boston Mutual, and it was very sort of tough to kind of get that to move forward. But obviously, it's something that as times have changed, years have changed, that we can revisit and get some more numbers on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Avery?
Yeah, Drew, thank you. It's not much, but just curious. Legal services, we have a great city solicitor's office. Is this outside like labor?
No, actually, what that tends to be, Counselor, is the cost of arbitrations. So as part of the collective bargaining process, we have usually in the union contracts, 3 steps to the grievance process. After step 3, if the union or the city, but usually the union, because the mayor is the step 3 hearing officer and has a designated hearing officer that makes a recommendation to him about how to resolve grievances. Typically, if a union believes that they still have grounds to move forward, they can take that to arbitration, which is through the American Arbitration Association, and the city has a responsibility to pay half the cost to the arbitrator. So we always put money into that budget for legal services to be able to pay those arbitration costs.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does the committee have any more questions? Councilor Natasha Mecci?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Drew, I just had a question about, I know you said you had an increase in applications overall, but it does look like your budget for advertising is a little small. Do you think it could be increased more? Or
I actually am pretty proud with what we've been able to do, and we have had some instances where we have advertised positions on LinkedIn and Indeed, and other departments have been able to help us offset the cost of that. We've had mixed results. To be completely honest, I think that those platforms have a lot of benefit, but there's also a lot of there's a lot of people that sort of apply and then you do the follow-up and you don't necessarily hear back again, particularly in terms of additional information. So we've actually seen that number of applicants go up year after year, using sometimes the ability to use LinkedIn or Indeed, working with other departments, and through the city's own social media website. And with a similar advertising budget, Counselor, we've still been able to see those numbers grow. And so I think that, one of the things that I'm really proud of because of the network that we've established is that we have a lot of people that are amplifying our positions, including everybody in this council. Councilor Hogan and I talk about this all the time. And I think that word of mouth, particularly with local applicants, has helped us to build those numbers, even though we've traditionally had a limited advertising budget.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the committee have any more questions for Mr. Drew Russo? Comments? No?
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Drew.
You're welcome. Thank you.
There you go.
All right. I will now like to call the law department. So please come to the podium.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. John Slattery, City Solicitor for the City of Lynn. The mission of the Law Department is to provide essential legal counsel, litigation defense, and governance support. We ensure that city operations comply with federal and state law, such as the open meeting law, public records law, state ethics law, state anti-discrimination law. We review and advise the mayor and the city council on municipal ordinances and bylaws, conflicts of interest. We represent the city and its boards and commissions in administrative hearings, Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, the Mass Commission Against Discrimination, and licensing appeals. We assist with eminent domain, tax title, foreclosures, civil rights claims in federal and state court. We review vendor agreements, municipal leases. I've actually spent the last week with the Capital Projects Unit going over a host of issues with their various projects. And I think, as you probably know, there's been a sea change in the legal department over the past year. We probably lost about 100 years of institutional knowledge when we lost George Markopoulos and Richard Vitale, and when Jimmy Lamanna decided to move over to the city clerk's position. Although, as I tell him all the time, the umbilical cord is not cut, and so we do have access to that information.
Amen. That's what we got right here.
And luckily, though we've lost all three, we have retained Kathleen Beliveau. She's the paralegal in the office. She also has been with the city for a long time, has a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge, and it's just been a good fortune to work with her, and she's been very helpful to us. As you know, we have two new assistant city solicitors. Peter Christopher, he went through the process. The mayor was good enough to appoint him, and the council was good enough to approve him. We have Maura Cronin. Maura was actually the city council's choice and pick, so I know you're familiar with her. I can say that they are complementary boons to the office. They have varied experience. They have proven to be very good lawyers. I'm sure some of you have already worked with them, and you are familiar with their competence. And as to our budget, I would say that we've been level funded for expenses for fiscal year 27. I think the salaries that are before you are a little bit off because those salaries were conducted before the onboarding. So I think we are listed at salaries at 561,980, and that number should be 564,039.52. And as for our expenses, legal services, that has been carried forward for the last several years. Lynn, unlike many other cities, is a self-insured city. A number of other cities will have liability insurance, so their cases are farmed out to insurance counsel. But as Mr. Clerk Lamanna could tell you, we have to handle those ourselves. So we incur expenses in any given year for depositions for experts, and it looks like we may have several of those cases. I won't mention the particular subject matter, but it looks like we have several cases that may require a large number of experts in the coming year. We use those for land surveyors. We also have our general office supplies and essentially judgments and awards. The judgment awards of $20,000, that's allow us to settle small claims rather than litigating them, which would be more expensive. If we feel that the constituent has a legitimate claim and it's a number that we can live with, we'll settle out of that budget. And again, I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to appear before you and discuss the budget of the law department, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for presenting that. And again, welcome to the team. Congratulations on your new position. I know you just started recently, and the law department, as a counselor, I've been dealing with Laura, and you guys have been doing a great job, so I commend your team on that.
Thank you.
Does the committee have any comments or any questions? No? Does the committee have any comments or any questions?
I love these guys.
Easy for you, John.
All right, well, good job. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
True.
All right, I would like to call Inspectional Services Director to please come to the podium.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Brett Bennett, Chief of Inspectional Services for the City of Lynn. Through ISD, we deal with the Inspectional Health and Facilities Division. We coordinate and manage all city inspection activities, maintain accurate and accessible records, and enforce applicable laws, codes, ordinances, and regulations. We also ensure the proper maintenance and repair of public buildings, oversee traffic signals and streetlights, and support the safe development of subdivisions. Our mission is to provide responsive, efficient, and professional services that uphold community standards and promote self and well-maintained city for all residents. The Inspectional Division is responsible for all inspection, administrative, and enforcement duties related to buildings and property. This includes enforcement of all building, housing, health, sanitation, and safety regulations mandated by the city as well as the Commonwealth. The division oversees compliance with state building, plumbing, electrical, and gas fitting codes, as well as sealers, weights and measures, sanitary, and food codes. We also cover Board of Health regulations and all applicable City of Lynn ordinances. The division reviews and approves permit applications, conducts plan reviews, and coordinates all related required inspections. It also investigates and enforces violations related to public nuisance, property conditions, as well as the City of Lynn zoning ordinance. All complaints regarding the condition of housing, properties, and structures are investigated by the Inspectional Division's inspectors and the Ordinance Enforcement Officer. The Inspectional Division has also fully implemented the city's rental inspection ordinance. This ordinance requires all rental units in the City of Lynn to be registered with the city and inspected once every 5 years. The program was established to maintain an up-to-date inventory of all rental units and their owners, addresses, and the nature of the rental market, and focus city resources on chronic problem properties and prioritize offenders. In fiscal year 2025, the department completed a total of 3,513 rental inspections, only 11% of which were re-inspections for the property that did not pass or provide access for their initial appointment. And there are currently 12,125 registered rental units. To date, inspections. To date, the total of 25,000 units have been identified for registration under the ordinance. Of that, 95% have been registered with the city and have received at least one inspection. Moving on to the Facilities Division. The Facilities Division oversees the maintenance, repair, and safe operation of approximately 3 million square feet of buildings under the jurisdiction of the Inspectional Services Department. Responsibilities include cleaning services, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, plumbing, carpentry, painting, minor repairs, environmental health and safety, and all other aspects of building maintenance and facilities management. In addition to managing the city's buildings, the division also oversees the city traffic light infrastructure at 70 intersections and roughly 8,000 city-owned streetlights. The Facilities Division currently serves 30 Lynn public school buildings, 16 municipal facilities, including our police, fire stations, city hall, senior center, as well as the library. The division brings expertise in every aspect of building management and maintenance. This work is carried out by a dedicated team of in-house custodians, maintenance trades personnel, supervisors, and support staff. To enhance capacity, the division also employs contract cleaning services in addition to facilities and engaged trades contractors to supplemental in-house on specialized maintenance projects. This budget year was pretty much level funded. There was some increases as we will fully occupy 195 Market Street this year as a school building, as well as renovations to the second floor of the senior center. So those are all fully occupied, contractual increases for that. One of our biggest contracts is currently going out to bid. That's our custodial contract for our nighttime cleaning, summertime cleanings. So we're anticipating a significant increase in that, so we've worked some money into the budget for that as well. So happy to take any questions that the council may have.
Before I put it onto the committee, I just have a quick question. You just said that now we have fully occupied Market Street. Is the increase in payroll salaries because of that? Because your salaries went up almost a little bit over $200,000.
Yep, so all that is just contractual increases. Again, as CFO Bertino said, there was a 6% increase with the unions. Some unions held out over the past year, so that's all catching up for retro and for the contractual increases. So we will staff 3 additional custodians at 195. So that's a little bit of it, but most of it is all the contractual increases.
You said 3?
Yep.
All right, so we will go to Councilor Field, and then we're going to go to Councilor Meany.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brett, I'm looking at 5 line items with a significant increase, and it's probably because of the acquisition of the Eastern Bank building. So looking at the, I don't know if, I just want you to explain if this is like just for this upcoming fiscal year or if it's going to continue. The first one I'm noticing is the $45,000 to $233,850 for the building R&M supplies. Do you want to go line by line that I'm noticing?
Yeah, I can jump on that one. So that was one of them that when the capital split happened, some of the funds were in a capital line that have been transferred to this line. Okay. So the building R&M is all of our basically supplies, anything from the flags at all the city buildings, ceiling tiles, lights, any Home Depot trips, any supplies within the city is that line.
Okay, and those could have been under a different line item last fiscal year?
Correct, yeah. So we kind of found some adjustments.
Yep.
With last year being the first year of separation, we found some adjustments throughout that. So that line as well as the...
So I'll go right in order.
Yep.
Miscellaneous custom housekeeping supplies that went from $20,000 to $225,000?
Correct. So those are all our janitorial supplies that were kind of captured in a different line that we would just kind of move to that line. So those will be moving
School
forward.
due maintenance went from $92,040 to $233,850.
Yep, school due maintenance is all our adhere reports. So this year we're required to do our 3-year adhere surveillance. So that's a significant increase.
Okay, so do you anticipate something like that being lower next year?
That should come down a little bit next year, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The DPW transfer groundskeeping went from 54 to 96.
So that is, we work with the DPW to do some of our, obviously, grounds cleaning.
Yep.
Last year, we had a landscaper who unfortunately passed, so we had Easy Landscaping and a couple other suppliers jump in, so that's just, they're doing our mulching now, the DPW, so that's just a transfer from our budget lines to the DPW.
Okay, and the other one that's the last one that I have, it's really not that clear, is expendables. Can you tell us what that would incorporate? Because that's 65 to 225. What would be defined as expendables?
I can get that for you right here.
Sure, it's right.
So expendables is that's all our like janitorial supplies. Some of our janitorial contracts are supplied within that. So with the addition of some of these buildings, that line has jumped a little bit. And again, some of that was captured in a capital line that we kind of adjusted throughout this fiscal year to catch up. So that's just an adjusted number of all of our janitorial supplies for the school buildings.
Okay, so when you mentioned that you anticipate the cost of the cleaning to go up, what line item is it if it's not one of those ones that I mentioned? Or is it our...
So those are our maintenance service contract lines. So that's...
Okay.
That didn't go up much, but we can capture some of that in expendables as well. We took out some of the supplies are now on the city, so we kind of adjusted some things. We're bringing 3 of the smaller school buildings back in-house for nighttime cleaning, so that kind of leveled that line up a little bit.
Okay. All right. Thanks for answering those.
Yep.
Councilor Meany?
Yes. Brett, do you feel like your department is fully funded? I mean, not funded, I mean, personnel-wise, fully staffed?
If we can fill some of the openings, I do, yes. We just hired another head clerk as well as a clerical associate for the inspectional division. We've been searching high and low for a facilities director. That's a little bit of a fraction of the pay increase. We've made that to a 40-hour position now to get a little bit more money behind that to kind of, get some better qualified candidates to fill that position. I feel like we could always use more. I feel like the work order system we've kind of refurbished and the work orders are getting done. Plumbing wise, we asked for a plumber this year, but some other things came up that kind of superseded that. So that kind of, that's one need in the future that we could need.
What is Mr. Poole's job title?
Mr. Poole is the ordinance enforcement officer.
So you don't think you could use, and this is no reflection, I think Chris does a phenomenal job, but you don't think you could use someone, a buddy in that department to help out with this?
Yep, so the clerical associate that we just hired that started today is going to be directly report to Mr. Poole.
Okay.
She will help out as a counter, but she's going to be doing most of the home ops for him, abandoned foreclosed properties, so more of his paperwork to get him out on the road more, because as you mentioned, Mr. Poole does an unbelievable job for us. I think he finds a lot of violation, brings in a lot of revenue, and that was one of my push to get him a clerical associate, to get more of, he was doing everything, doing the ZBA, advertisements, site plan review, so now all that will kind of be on the clerical associate, which would free up to more time for Mr. Poole.
Thank you. That answers my questions.
Does the committee have any more questions or comments? Council President Allison?
I have questions, but Councillor Field already asked it, and I got the answer that I need. But on a personal note, I would like to say thank you. I'm staring at the screen, but I'm referring to you. Thank you for all the things you've done in this chamber. Every time I ask you for something, you're always very quick and you deliver. So I just want to tell you
Absolutely, if we try to keep up.
Thank you.
We just need a little more lighting by winter. Councillor Hogan?
I want to say the same thing. Brett, you hit the ground running in this department, and it's been excellent working with you since you were hired. But I got a crazy one here. Down at the bottom, we have Nextel for $30,000.
Yeah, that just never got changed over.
Yeah, so I know
that's our cell phone bills, but
2005.
yeah,
no one's had that.
we never updated that line item, but that is all of our cell phone
Let's get that
dues
changed.
and whatnot. We'll change that to Verizon.
All right, very good. All right, thank you. Good guy.
All righty, well, thank you, Councillor Hogan. Does anybody have any more comments or questions for Mr. Brett? Committee? Well, ISD Director, thank you for coming and
Thank you very
presenting
much.
to us and answering all our questions.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, I would like to call Jim Perry, the Harbormaster.
The one and only.
Please come to the podium.
One and only.
No, there's 20 staff.
Good afternoon, folks. Jim Perry, the Lynn Harbormaster. The only thing I have to report is that the budget has remained unchanged since I started in this position, which was only about 50 years ago. Last year we focused on some search and rescue electronics. This year we're going to focus mostly on engine maintenance and so forth. We get by on a small budget because of the local knowledge in the harbor, the donations from the yacht clubs, and certainly the dockage at the city's marina. Those donations would easily topple $25,000 to $30,000. So we get by on what we got, and we're looking forward to another season.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions for any Councilor Avery?
Just want to thank you for your service. I see you down there often. I see you driving around, checking on jet skis and et cetera as well. So for a little budget, you do a lot, and you've been here a long time, so we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you for that.
Does the committee have any more questions or comments? No? Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you, councilors. Thank you for all you do.
All right, see you, Jimmy.
All righty, moving on. I would like to call the Parking Department. I would like to call Parking Department Director Jessica to come to the podium, please.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Ciappini. I'm the Director of the Parking Department, everyone's favorite department. I think you're all familiar. Well,
the one department that doesn't have a Facebook page.
rightfully so. I think you're all familiar with what we do, so I'll speak to the two line items that we have increases in. The first one is to the payroll salaries. We were able to upgrade one of our parking enforcement officers to a working foreman. We hired a bilingual clerk and an additional parking enforcement officer for the day shift. And the second increased line item was the outside professional tech, where we pay our contractual invoices, such as IPS for the meters and kiosks, pay by phone, and the MPS safety camera sticks.
Does the committee have any questions or any comments for Parking Director? Councilor Avery.
I do, Jess. I see the increases here, but maybe if you could talk about the revenue that your department has generated since you've taken the helm, to maybe offset the money coming in?
So what I would say to that is that the revenue has increased, and it's increased because all of our equipment is effectively working, right? This fiscal year, we kind of just want to sit back now and watch it work and make sure that it's all operational, that there isn't any kinks. We have installed 26 new kiosks as part of the first phase of the parking study downtown on Monroe Street. There's definitely going to be some concerns there with residents who aren't happy that they no longer can park there all day, that they're only allowed to park for free from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. But this is something that we're going to have to revisit. It's new. We just put them out there. Residents are allowed to park for free from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. We had a phone meeting, and we tried to get them to understand that the businesses too need parking for their customers. And so that's why we gave them the free parking at night. So we'll have to just sit back and watch that work. And if not, make changes.
I have a quick question now that you touched that. I know on Union Street, you guys changed the fact that they can park there for, 15 minutes before they
So
start
it's
paying?
20 minutes free.
20 minutes?
And we've done that through the whole, with all the meters now.
Okay, so it's throughout the
It's
whole city?
20 minutes. We've done it without. It just didn't seem right that we put new meters and we're saying, 20 minutes free only on Monroe, Oxford, and Union. It's not fair. So anywhere that there's a meter, we've been allowing the 20 minutes grace period. And that's done by like what you used to see chalking on the tires. It's digital chalked by their handheld. So we know that there's 20 minutes. They get their 20 minutes.
Thank you for clarifying that. Councilor Hogan, had a question?
I know the parking department takes a lot of heat from residents, but I'll tell you, I had to call numerous times with some of my constituents trying to go to work in the morning. Someone's just parked in front of their driveway and they can't get out, and it's so frustrating. And Jessica in the parking department has been helpful with that there. So even though there are some people that are upset with the parking department, there are people in this city that have been very thankful, and they thank through us councilors when we can get them to work on time because someone blocked their driveway or something. And I thank you for taking those calls too, even at different times of night and early in the morning. So I thank you for that there, and just keep doing a good job, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilor Field?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to go off what Council Vice President Hogan said, I know with the parking department and ISD, they use the word revenue, like increased revenue. I just want to caution the residents. It's not because we're trying to target you and we rely on that revenue to come in. Some of it's non-compliance, or most of it's non-compliance. So it's not anything that the city's doing to target you or anything like that. In fact, during this past winter, I know the parking department because of Jess and her staff, has had a decrease in number of tows, for example, from the storm. So it's not a revenue generator particularly that the city's looking to do and really catch everybody. It's an enforcement. The parking lots, et cetera, those are different source of revenue for the city to maintain them. But, I don't want anybody to be confused as far as using the word, revenue increases because of non-compliance. Our goal is to have compliance and not have an extreme revenue increase due to that fact. So what she's been doing, what the department's been doing, what everybody's been doing, IST, everybody, making people aware, helping further educate people that are parking in designated lots during the winter year and when to get those cars out by. I think the signage there, I think the new protocols that have been in place have come full circle where it has improved, and Jess can speak on the number of tows and how they've decreased, especially with some of the significant storms as opposed to past couple of years. So I appreciate everything that you're doing.
I just also want to point out that I've tried to get my office to more educate than citate. So if someone comes in and we can tell that's their first ticket or they just didn't know, and you can clearly see that someone just didn't know, we tell them, okay, we try to find alternative parking, show them on Google Maps, and then we take it back with a warning because we can see if we've given you a warning or not. So we are trying to be more customer service focused. And I do have a great staff. my parking enforcement officers that are out in the field. They have a tough job. They're verbally assaulted, physically assaulted, and they come to work every day happy. So.
Thank you, Jessica. And same question that Councilor Meany asked the ISD director. Are you guys fully staffed?
So I could always use more parking enforcement officers, but we don't have the money for it. I was just given one new full parking enforcement officer for the day. So that that's going to be helpful. And I do have a bilingual clerk. We're going to make it do.
All right. Councilor Meany, and then we'll go to Councilor Allen-Song.
Yeah, hi, Jessica. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of elaborate on what we talked about a couple of months ago, how the city is not able to just find their way into prosperity, and the money is the revenue that you guys generate is used for or set things and fiscal goals. Could you expand on that for me?
So it doesn't go to our department. It goes into the general fund, and it's not like it's just coming back to parking, and I have to say what this money goes to.
What I was getting at is every once in a while I have a constituent say, why can't we just increase fines into, it's usually based around their real estate taxes going up. And so why can't we just, increase parking tickets? And I've always explained to them that you cannot find your way into prosperity in a city like Lynn or any municipality, frankly. And I wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to kind of just explain that better.
So the parking study that we had done does suggest that we increase the violations of some of our tickets because they're lower than surrounding communities. And that is something that's in front of Traffic Commission to review to do. When I first came in, it was suggested, and we didn't immediately do it because we had just implemented resident parking where people had to pay $20 and then they had to pay for the lots, and we implemented the passes that were in 3 different phases, the day pass, the night pass, and the evening. And we just thought if we increased the violations at the same time, we definitely would have heard, you're just trying to grab money from us. So.
Thank you. Before I pass it on to Councilor Allen-Song, now that Councilor Meany spoke about it a little bit, I don't know if you're the right person to ask this or for the planning department. Do you have an update on what's going to happen with the MBTA garage?
You can ask Aaron that.
We'll talk about that when you come in? Okay. All right, Councilor Allen-Song.
I just don't know how you do it, Jess. It's a very stressful department, and in spite of that, you still pick up our calls at 10, 11 p.m. I know some department heads are listening here like, oh, nobody can touch me after 8 o'clock, but you do. So I would like to say thank you formally in front of everybody. When you say about you added a staff, I remember when my first year as counselor, there's only daytime parking attendants. So now we are doing 24/7, correct?
So we have 3 shifts. Day shift is 8 to 4.
Yep.
Then we have 4 to 12. Only 2 people on second shift right now, 4 to 12. And then third shift overnight is the 12 to 8. And they are basically focused on street sweeping, enforcing the street sweeping that happens at 4 a.m. in the commercial ordinance that we have, that you can't be on, commercial vehicles can't be on the street after 10 p.m., so they enforce that on the third shift. So there's 2, and there's 2 on there. So altogether, I have 10.
What I'm saying is I'm just glad that there's staff now around the clock, knowing that if we call whatever time it is, there's somebody there to answer some situations.
Right. And we do have weekends, too. We staff 10 to 6 on Saturday and Sundays.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I do want to emphasize what Councilor Allings said. You have been very, very responsive. We call you, we text you. There's issues with parking. You're always getting back to us, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Councilor Natasha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jessica, thank you again for everything that you do. And a follow-up question to the new meters that were installed downtown. You said, I know it's helpful to have the first 20 minutes free so that people, if they're running into the store, can just go into the store. Is there a sign on the meter that does say that the first 20 minutes is free?
On the kiosk.
So they will know?
Yeah, and I've put it out there as much as I possibly can. It's on the website. It's on It's on the kiosk, it's on signs that we've put out. The first week that it was supposed to go live May 4th. We didn't go forward until the 11th because I had my guys passing out flyers on Monroe and Oxford and Union Street to all the businesses. I even had them tape it at the condo doors, the information.
So, yeah, I just had a constituent that reached out to me and said they didn't know that there was 20 minutes free the first 20 minutes. So I just wanted to be clear that there is signage that people will know that they do not have to pay for that first 20 minutes. Is
I
that
can
correct?
add more.
No, I'm
not
just
opposed to getting it out there. I think everybody knows. Like I tried to do a very good job with putting things in Spanish and English, especially downtown because that's our central business district. You know, people are there. I tell you guys all the time. Tell them to call me if they get a ticket. Like I said, I want to educate before I have them pay the ticket. I can clearly see how long they've been there. So.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear because, you know, like let's say you're new to Lynn and you're just driving downtown and you want to stop and get a slice of pizza, like just to, maybe they didn't know. Like as long as there is a sign at the kiosk, like you said, that the first 20 minutes is free, then I'm okay with that. Okay, thank you.
Does the committee have any more questions or comments? Councilor Pass.
Just echoing what everyone has said, like thank you so much for the work that you do. I know it's not the most pleasant department sometimes, but I think just going forward with all of the developments that are happening within like Oxford and Monroe, is there a plan on how to incorporate community feedback moving forward? I know that there was a discussion, particularly in the last discussion or the community meeting, that we were going to start recounting like how many parking spots were available and integrating that, particularly for the residents that are having issues finding places to park near their home.
I think that we were going to revisit it within 6 months or so. I can't remember the timeline, but I can work with Aaron and get back to you and let you know. But yeah, it's something that, this is new. It's something that we're going to have to keep working on. As you know, residents want to park downtown all day for free. You were on the call. You heard this one person say, I work from home. Why can't I park outside all day? And we said, well, what about the business that's downstairs from you? He only gets 4 customers. That's not fair. If we're trying to be equitable with the limited spots that we have for on-street parking. I think the city does a very good job with it, and we're doing the best that we can. And we're open to feedback and make changes that we need to make.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just wanted to make sure folks know that we're definitely considering it. It's just.
Yeah, absolutely.
Councilor Natasha.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, one more question, Jessica, about the municipal parking. I did have a constituent reach out to me and said that there's a waiting list to get into the 24-hour parking. Can you talk about the different lots and if there are waiting lists and how long those waiting lists are?
So there are waiting lists mainly for the day parking. And your constituent probably wants Buffum Street because everybody wants to park in Buffum Street. And there was a time that everyone could park in Buffum Street no matter what. There's only 235 spots in the Buffum Street lot. Lynn Community Health pays for probably 190 of them. So sometimes it looks like it's empty, but it's not because they're paid spots and those doctors come or their nurses come at different times, but they're paid spots, right? I've oversown that lot, that particular lot, by 60 permits. And when I oversell it, I tell them there may be a time that you try to get in the lot and you can't, and you're going to have to reach out to me because you're going to have to find on-street parking, and I won't be able to enforce it. But we do our best for that. The nighttime passes from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., you can get in any of our lots. People don't want to go on the lot. They don't want to pay to go into a lot at night. And you get to do a Saturday and Sunday, 24 hours if you get a night pass. It's $50 a month. You're not going to be able to park in any other city for that cheap of a permit. You were on the call. You heard someone from Boston just like ripping our city a new one. Like $50 a month to park in Lynn. This is Lynn. Yeah, it's Lynn. And we take care of our lots. and you have to pay to park, just like everyone else.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Does the committee have any more questions or comments for Parking Director Jessica?
Just a quick comment. Keep up the good work and don't let this job make you cynical.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Jessica. All right, so now I would like to call Tanya from the Council on Aging to please come to the podium. Oh, Lisa's coming. Sorry, it's not Tanya, it's Lisa.
Hi, sorry to disappoint you. Stuck with me, Lisa Tobin, the Public Health Director. I am here representing the Council on Aging. As I'm sure you guys know, the Council on Aging does fall under the Public Health Department. So when you take a look at their budget, you will see that there's a small increase for salaries, which, as you've heard plenty times tonight, contractual and union raises. There's 8 staff down there, 3 in unions, everybody else is on a contract. We have just increased to the 2nd floor. We're serving between 80 and 90 people per day on an average day, up to 100 on a super fun day. Most of the money that operates the senior center comes from the state formula fund grant and grants that public health and the senior center staff apply for.
Thank you, Lisa. Does the committee have any questions? Councilor Allison?
Lisa.
Yes,
I like this operation budget, $1.
Nice.
Can you explain this to us? Because this is, I know it's funny, but general supplies, 0, in-state travel, 0, membership, 0.
So the way the budget was set up through the CFO's office, and please, if I'm incorrect, correct me, the way the budget was set up for the Council of Aging was that the general funds from the city are put into an account along with formula funds to pay the salaries. So everything else that's funded for the senior center comes out of the formula grant, and that is not a general fund account. I don't know that you guys see grant funds on your budgets, so that's why you're not seeing that. But if to pay for the RICO, to pay for the paper, to pay for supplies that we need, to sponsor the events, all of that comes out of the formula fund grant or any specific grants that have been obtained.
We know that.
Yeah.
So just make sure that we will see that the next time and know about it. I have to ask Councilor Pius and some of our staff. I'm going to do a presentation tomorrow with our seniors, and the topic is all about budget, and this is not helpful at all.
I can speak to the CFO about that.
I understand.
Okay.
The more information you give, the better for us to review things and highlight things. That's all.
Sure.
Simple. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Lisa.
Does the committee have any more questions? Comments? Committee? Questions? Comments? No? Well, Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
On to the second page. I would like to call Michael Sweeney to the podium, please, to present about the veterans. Hey, Mike, how are you?
How are you? Good to see you. Thank you. So, the Department of Veteran Services is our level-funded budget this year. As in the past, we've been able to do an awful lot within that. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of our team. This year alone, we ended up for Chapter 115 benefits, which is sort of the core of what we do outside of our budget, outside of our VA work. We were able to put over $500,000 into the hands of veterans and their families in the city of Lynn this year. And those are real tangible benefits. That's health care, that's food, that's rent. That's how we can maintain people, gets them to get better health, gets them to have more stable families. And really, they're really life-changing benefits. I think when you look at it, even in terms of how we look at it more broadly, I think these are some funds that, but for these funds, you would see an awful lot more people, veterans and their families who are unhoused. And this particular program, Chapter 115, it's mandated in Massachusetts. We're the only state in the country that does it. I'm proud of it. What it does differently than some of the people say this is for veterans, and it is, but I should note in particular, Chapter 115 also aids the dependents or the surviving spouses of veterans. So that's an incredible part of what we do. With the only state in the country that does it. It really is. It's superb. The other part of what we do in our office in terms of benefits is VA service-connected VA benefits. Myself and our principal clerk are accredited claims agents through the VA, through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And while many people put in claims for the VA across the country, VSOs were the most. We do the most across the state by far. And in Lynn alone, based on 2025 VA data, $1.4 million came into the city of Lynn in VA service-connected disability benefits in 2025 alone. So we're right now, based on veteran population data we received from the VA, about 25% of our veteran population receives service-connected VA disability payments, which is right around the national average. And we can always do more, but I think it's also a good idea to pause and say that our team is doing a great job at that. The rest of our budget is contractually obligated salaries, and between 2 and 3% is the rest of it, where we have events, we do events. We do about 15 events a year. Many of them we partner with local veterans and local community organizations. As you know, you see me all in here all the time talking about the Veterans Council. Our office last year was thrilled to help out with Buchanan Bridge. So and the way you leverage that, and I think we're proud of, is we supplied flags initially that allowed that neighborhood group to then raise money on that. So now there's $2,000 sitting there. So when we put those flags up this weekend, which is a plug for what we're doing up there, I think people see that not only does the city of Lynn engage in that, but we leverage those partnerships, and we don't just spend the money frivolously. We're cognizant of that. As I mentioned, the Lynn Veterans Council this year, we'll be working with them. I think the money for that is being privately raised, worked through the city of Lynn. I think for that, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that for that parade and for many of the events we do throughout the city, we couldn't do them without almost every single department in the city. And I think that's the thing we're proudest of, is that we don't just, we're not really a silo. So whether it's the DPW, the health department, the parking department, I mean, when they talk about people being angry. Well, we have veterans who come in sometimes and have issues, and I think they've always received a fair hearing down there because we're able to reach out to the parking department, and they don't treat them like a number. And that's something we're really proud of, that we have those, that we can do that, and how professional we are within the city. But whether it's there, it's our financial team. We couldn't do it without everyone else. And with the parade that I did mention, I want to point out shamelessly that that's September 20th. Anyone who wants to take part in that, please. And we're very happy to work with the Lynn Police, Lynn Fire, to make that a reality. Finally, our engagement goals for the year, we're just hoping to do more, and just continue to keep pushing, keep plugging away. Obviously, the city, we also, as part of our office, we're a district, so we work with we also cover the town of Swampscott. As you can see, that in the budget, the money that we receive from Swampscott every year, the $30,000 goes to a stipend for one staff and for half of the salary for the other one. So it does augment our staff and allows us to, again, accomplish more and do that. So finally, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Before I put it onto the committee, I do want to highlight what you just said. Thank you for all the work that you guys do. I myself, as Ward 2 City Councilor, have worked directly with the Veterans Council, putting the flags up at Buchanan Bridge, and we're actually going to do it this Saturday at 3 p.m. if anybody wants to join us, or if anybody would just come on down. We'll be there working with the Veterans Council, with Sergeant Major Oswald, Dr. Meany, yourself, and thank you for all the work that you guys do. So I just want to commend you on that. Does the committee have any questions or any comments?
Thank you.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, when we talk about our neighbors and our partners, the people we work with, someone who this weekend, when we have our Memorial Day ceremonies, and someone who is there with their family every year that will be missed is Janet Rowe. And I think not only through attending our events, but she was always through the Knights of Columbus, whether it's her and her family, Charlie. Years ago, they would donate money to women veterans, and they've done that all the years. I just think that that's a good example, and she's a good example of how lucky we are in the city of Lynn to work with so many good people and families to take care of veterans. So.
Thank you for that. No questions? All right, so we'll move on to the next one.
Ran away before he could ask him a question.
Councilor Meany?
Just kidding. I said he ran away before he could ask him.
All right, so now we're going to go to Paula from the library. If you can please come up to the podium.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Paula Joyle. I'm the Assistant Director at the Lynn Public Library. The Director is out of town, although I do think it's harder here than where she is in Aruba. The budget that we have before us today, it allows us to meet all of the requirements to remain state certified. This is a very good thing. That means that we will meet the municipal appropriation requirement, also known as the MAR. We will be able to meet our minimum hours requirement, which is 63. We're open 64. And we are also able to meet the materials expenditure requirement, which this coming fiscal year will be $160,844. We'll have no problem meeting any of this with this budget. It's all good.
Perfect, thank you.
Do you need any more information?
Does the committee have any questions? Councilor Meany?
Just a comment. My wife and kids, they really enjoy the children's center you have in the library. For those of you who don't know, it's really a nice gem they have on the bottom floor of the library. And if you have young kids, that'd be the perfect place to take them, especially in the cool air conditioning.
Thank you for saying that. Our children's librarian, Susan Cronin, does a fantastic job. She has a lot planned for the summer program. The summer reading program has, you know all about it, Jim. The programs they have, there's something going on every single week. If not one event, then more than one event. And there's so many children that participate, and it just livens up the whole library. And we have a new event that we're going to be doing that came through a cultural grant performer. It's Zumba for all ages. But I'm in a library, it seems crazy.
All councilors are invited.
Yeah, everyone's invited. It's for all ages. And the one event we had was welcomed by all ages. It was little kids, it was older people. It was so much fun. So we do welcome you all to come visit us. If you want a tour, give us a call and we'll give you a tour. We'd love to see you there.
Thank you.
Okay.
And again, I just want to echo what my colleague, Councilor Meany, said. You guys run so many programs, and it's great. My daughter loves being there all the time. So
that's fantastic. Thank you. I will relay that to all of the librarians. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Councilor Avery?
No.
No? Oh, good. All righty.
Go to the library as a kid.
Thank
I won't age any of the staff. Yeah.
So now I would like to call Aaron, the city planning director. So please come to the podium and present his budget.
I like that suit, Jack.
Aaron Clausen, the City Principal Planner on behalf of the Planning Department. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about our work and our budget for the coming year. We've had the chance to work with all of you, I think, in many different occasions. I think a good sense of what we do, but our mission is to work with the community to help create a vision for the city's future and future development, specifically around issues around land use, housing, economic development, transportation, open space, environmental planning and stewardship, and of course arts and culture. And so we are very, very pleased to be a partner with you all and continue that good work. For this year, we've provided a level budget for the coming year and balancing and aligning those expenses based on how we spent them last year. So we're trying to keep an eye on our budget, making sure we're staying within them and doing so for the future. Looking forward, we're looking to continue to work with this council and other stakeholders within the community to advance the objectives of Vision Lynn, which is the comprehensive plan that was adopted a couple years ago, and just hit on some highlights of what we see coming down the pike in the next year. We continue to work the South Harbor implementation plan. That's the key area in the waterfront, a redevelopment area for the city. It's a transformation district, as you all probably recall. In the last year, we've been doing a lot of outreach in identifying other tools that we can bring to bear to make sure that that redevelopment is happening quickly, and happening in a way that benefits the community. And recently had the opportunity to work with this council, with the mayor's office, and then EDIC to create an urban renewal authority, which is a sort of a milestone for the city to realize a tool to bring back online key properties that have been stuck. Gearworks is the key one that I think a lot of people could think about. Also, National Grid properties on the waterfront. Going forward, we anticipate working with you all in the community and creating an urban renewal plan to finalize that work. We also look to continue to seek additional capital funding to build out the street network as a part of that plan. Some other work that's coming our way, a lot of transportation projects. You're all very aware of the Western Ave reconstruction project. This is on the Transportation Improvement Program through the Boston MPO, as well as Essex Street reconstruction. They're both programmed for 2030 at the moment. We have a lot of work in front of us as a community to make sure that we get the milestones achieved through the design process that's dictated by MassDOT. But we just finished the 25% design stage for Essex Street, and I had a public hearing on that a couple months ago. We're seeing that moving forward for the Western Ave coming later in this fall. Some other work is the Safe Streets for All grant. As you all recall, we received a federal grant to make systemic safety improvements across the city in some of our higher crash locations, less safe roadways. It took us, we are behind, as you're all very aware. It took us about a year to get the grant agreement signed with the new administration, so we were happy to pass that milestone earlier in the year. Currently, we have filed a project notification form under the NEPA process. We're hopeful that that will be completed by the end of June, would be my hope, and then we can really begin the work for that project. First step would be to bring on a consultant to do the community engagement for site selection, project design, and we anticipate that will be happening over the next year or so. So that's another big project that we're moving forward. You also are maybe aware of the Linway Reconstruction Project. We're currently through community engagement with MBTA leading that work. We had an open house 2 weeks ago, a virtual public meeting last week, and we look forward to seeing that project move forward. The timeline on that is we look to have a concept plan by the end of this calendar year, finish that NEPA process, and then hopefully move to final design. Some other transportation projects that are of note, we are engaging with MassDOT and the General Edwards Bridge reconstruction. We want to make sure that's all tying together really well with the Linway and also meeting the objectives of that South Harbor implementation plan. That's one that's coming up around 2030 for reconstruction as well. And then lastly, we were just kicking off a planning process with the MBTA to essentially design a new commuter rail stop at the Riverworks, whereas right now it's just a flag stop available only to GE employees. The idea is to transform that into a fully accessible commuter rail stop that would really drive redevelopment of the Gearworks and improve access to transit for the region as well as Linners. As we see the Transformative Development Initiative and the Creative Cities program winding down in the city, these are two programs funded through MassDOT. We're excited, though, to start a planning process for our arts and culture plan with our newly minted arts and culture planner to lead that work and make sure that all the advancement that was made over the last 3 years in those two programs, that we continue that and can build off that for a stronger arts and cultural community, really ensuring that the city and the city's downtown is sort of a resource or a center for arts and culture for the region, not just our city. And then lastly, We continue to work on affordable housing, primarily through the Affordable Housing Trust and an inclusionary zoning. Right now, we're seeing our work in the next year transition a little bit more away from funding projects and focusing a little bit more on enforcement and monitoring to ensure that the developers, whether it's through the inclusionary zoning ordinance or through funding through the housing trust, are meeting the affordability requirements that the city is seeking. The last little piece I would note about that is that we are working with Mass Housing to streamline our process to ensure that new projects through inclusionary zoning have an affordability restriction to ensure that it is an affordable project, and simplify and streamline the tenant selection process, because it can be onerous and challenging for developers, but particularly smaller ones. And from the city's perspective, from the community's perspective, maximize the local preference requirements that we can build into that tenant selection process. So we're looking for 100% preference for Lynn residents as these projects come on board, which is much higher than what the state will allow. So we're working through that process. Hopefully by the end of this summer we'll have that implemented. There's a lot more to cover, but I know you have some questions for me, so happy to stand by and answer any questions you might have.
I just, before I put it on to the committee, I just want to clarify. So the Essex reconstruction project, that was supposed to be 2027, so it got bumped into 2030?
Yep, both of the projects have been pushed out. There's two main reasons for that. One, MassDOT has been changing their design review process sort of midstream. So first of them, the biggest challenge that we ran up against in terms of timing is they have this ice stage analysis that we need to follow. And essentially what they want communities to do is look at every signalized intersection that's in the project geography or ones that are proposed for signalization and assess whether or not a roundabout is appropriate. That added about a year to the process for each of the projects because we have many intersections in both of them. Right. The second piece is they've been changing their layout and right-of-way requirements in terms of identifying what the layout is and how we secure that. Unfortunately, the city's records are not great in terms of layout, so we're essentially having to go back and recreate that for each project from zero. So that's adding a lot of time for both of those projects.
And I just want to highlight one of the requirements that the state, the state is paying for all of this, all this reconstruction. So the state has a lot to say with the bike lanes, with the new lights and everything that they're doing. So to a certain point, us as councilors, local government, we have a lot of influence, but we don't have the last say. I just want to put that out there. I just want to make it a highlight.
Yeah.
The other question was, I had asked Parking Director about the MBTA garage for downtown. Is there a plan for that?
Yeah, so my department and the mayor's office have been working closely with the MBTA Transit Oriented Development Group. They're within the real estate division of the MBTA to come up with a request for information, a procurement process to drive interest for redevelopment of the site. We've had the opportunity to work closely with them and collaborate on the standards that are built into that RFI. And there's two key things that we were really looking for in that. One is that a redevelopment of the site would include parking for the broader community, not just the redevelopment. And we're looking for at least 450 parking spaces either on that site or supplied elsewhere within the downtown that can be accessed by the community. The second piece of that is thinking about redevelopment because it's about a 5-acre site. It is one of the most transformative opportunities for redevelopment in the downtown. We want to see that redevelopment stitched together back the downtown. Right now, the viaduct really does sort of create a barrier between both parts of the downtown. The garage emphasized that sort of separation. And so we're looking for redevelopment to really drive and connect those two spaces so that it's comprehensive and whole and accessible. We do expect that housing would be a component of that, and affordable housing with our inclusionary zoning as well. That RFI went out. There were 3 developers that expressed interest. The next step is to engage with them and understand how they can meet those expectations, those guideposts that we're putting out there, and the MBTA's, because they have expectations too, particularly around reconstruction of the commuter rail stop. but there'll be ongoing collaboration and eventually a final procurement to select a preferred developer. The benefit of this is that once the developer is selected, we have a strong stake in help shaping that development and making sure that it can meet the city's and the community's desires.
Thank you.
I don't have a timeline on when exactly that's going to happen, but that the letters of interest just came in, I think, within the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks.
All right. Well, thank you. Does the committee have any, Councilor Meany?
Hi, Aaron. So I just had a question. You know, with the ADU laws, with the bike lanes, with the MBTA's Community Act, with the MBTA station, I mean, on its face, it seems like we have little to no control over any development in the city. Can you elaborate or comment?
Well, I wouldn't agree with that. The Massachusetts generally is a home rule state. That means they have essentially granted the authority for local communities to write zoning to meet their requirements, their standards. The state doesn't even require that the city create a master plan. Best practices that you would. There's no requirement in the state that your zoning actually aligns with your master plan. Best practices would suggest that you do that. Other states across the country mandate a comprehensive plan, mandate consistency between your zoning and that master plan, and the state actually has to approve it. So comparatively speaking, we have a lot more control over how we dictate land use and development. Recently, though, there have been a number of state laws that have been put in place to sort of break a logjam around the housing crisis that's going on in the Commonwealth, particularly around the Boston metro region. And the culprit there is a lot of suburban communities downzone their zoning rules to allow only single-family home or low-density development. That's a restriction that is completely regulatory and hinders housing development. So what the state has done is they've created a number of laws that require some change in that. So MBTA communities requires that there's more multifamily housing around transit stops. Our zoning already allowed for that. We met that as soon as that came out of the gate. As you pointed out, mandate ADUs as an option. So we did have to accept that and create rules around that to ensure it didn't negatively impact our neighborhoods. And so there is some control that the state does put onto us, but for the most part, we can really drive what the land use and the development requirements are.
What I guess I'm getting at is, so for example, one of the conversations we've had previously was we want to make transportation less congested in the city. So we're chopping lanes, and 50% of they have with bike lanes that are very little use. We're accepting federal money. It's fruits of the poisonous tree. It seems like we have different issues that are working antagonistically, and it's resulting in chaos.
Well, so you think about them from different agencies. MassDOT and HLC, Housing and Livable Communities, are different departments with different purview, right? And they have certain guidelines for use of funds that they are putting out there. It's true that MassDOT, when you go through a design process with MassDOT, they have certain requirements. The first requirement that they put out there is that safety and roadway safety is paramount above everything else. They also have a multimodal requirement and standard. But we do have some ability to adjust that. Essex Street is a great example of that, where we were able to show the state that removing parking for bike lanes was not appropriate for that roadway. And they agreed with us. It took some work. We had to show the data. We had to pull together information to articulate our point. But we do have the ability to flex and essentially get design exceptions, is what they call it, for some of these projects. For the projects where there's limiting capacity for general purpose lanes, we're looking at the impacts on traffic, and we're finding that, generally speaking, the trade-offs on traffic and on how they're moving through the roadway, those corridors or intersections, is on balance pretty small when you're thinking about the trade-offs and the benefits for other uses. So we have the ability to look at these projects in a case-by-case basis and shape how they play out in our community.
Thank you.
Councilor Hogan.
Yes, because Mass DOT and the MBTA has done such a terrific job on the Commons and Market Street and stretching this thing out. Our constituents have to be prepared, and all of us city councilors have to be prepared that Essex Street, Western Ave, Linway, and General Edwards Bridge is going to be getting redone over in the next 3 to 6 years. So understand, those public meetings, you got to get people out at them, you got to drive your points home, and you got to make them listen. Because we are frustrated at what's happening out here right now. And you think the frustration is only going to grow. And Aaron knows, Aaron's on them calls, he knows there's some things that we want driven across because we're frustrated with the progress of this project right now. And we're going to have to keep driving people out there, or it's going to be us that get ran over, all right? Because we have to understand that we care about this city and we care about how these projects are done. I just hope that other cities are not getting their jobs done faster than this project out here, because, man, I think I could have hired someone down at Home Depot or anywhere that we could have got this done with a couple crews a lot quicker than that. But, Aaron, I like the work you're doing, but we just got to keep driving home to Mass DOT. And you know me on them calls, and you know me in those meetings. I'm not scared to ask the hard questions. We want the progress for the city of Lynn, but it's going to be a frustrating time. But we got to work together and keep driving people out at those meetings.
Yeah, if I could add a piece to that, I think one thing we've focused on historically with particularly roadway projects is really engaging the community at the design stage. And to the councilor's point, as soon as it gets to construction, that engagement falls off. And I think we've relied too much on the state to engage the community and inform the community about that construction. Going forward, we're looking to essentially change that practice to make sure that we have better information about the project, what the project benefits are, and information about construction once that is moving forward to mitigate the frustration, because there's a ton of frustration for construction, and we have over $150 million in the pipeline of roadway work that's coming over the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to be a challenge to get that right, and I think we absolutely understand the need to make sure we do the best we can to mitigate that impact. So we'll look forward to working with you to continue moving that information out.
Thank you, Aaron. Councilor Field?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Aaron, few questions for you. What part of the city budget pays for consulting fees for the planning department?
What part of the...
How much?
It's
or is
40...
it grants?
I'm sorry?
What percentage of the budget, the city budget, will assist your department paying for consulting fees?
Well, we have our budget line for consulting is $47,800.
Okay, and that covers all of it, or is it majority through grants?
Majorities, by far, it's through grants.
Okay.
Most of the work we do, whether it's planning, consulting work, project development, or we do help manage some capital projects, relatively smaller projects. They're lion's share grant funded. There oftentimes is a match component to that. But that's when we would come back to the council if we are awarded a grant for your authorization. There's oftentimes a matched component to that. But for the most part, everything we do is grant funded.
Okay, so I know a lot of focus so far has been on these big capital projects, MassDOT, everything like that, state level fund. My concern that I want to talk about is some of these smaller neighborhood projects. One particularly that we spoke about, we had consultants come out, map out a whole design, and to try to make that neighborhood safer. And there was a whole design that we've gone back through for probably a year and a half. And when I asked, when is this going to get done? The response was, we don't have money for it to improve that area after the consulting. So where is that money going to come from, or where can it come from in this budget to make those smaller neighborhoods safe? That particular one, you know which one I'm talking about. And then there's another one just off of Euclid Ave. When the state proposed Broadway, I was opposed to it. One of those reasons was for the smaller neighborhoods that were going to receive this excess traffic from that project. And there's a one-way that cars continue to go up. It's making that side neighborhood less safe as it was during the construction and before. The only solution right now. Councilor Meany had proposed closing off the street. That hasn't gone through. And the only thing that the city's done is put up cones, put up barrels, put up horses with signs on the horses saying, do not enter one way. Those are my concerns. The smaller neighborhoods that don't get the limelight or anything, where in this budget do we have to focus to get those projects through? Not just through the consulting phase, but to the entire construction and redesign to those smaller neighborhoods to protect them too.
Yeah. If it's not grant funded, it would be in the capital budget. That's where it would have to come from.
Okay, so capital budget, where? Is this a Mike Bertino question? I want to make sure that we're funding for these smaller projects. We're having consultants come out and look at it and redesign it and say the striping might help, this might help, this might help to make these neighborhoods safer, and they're not coming to fruition. What do we need to do?
You would essentially put in when we do the budget, we put in a request form. That would be like a capital improvement. So you would put a request in there for approximately X amount of dollars to address the situation for this purpose. And then what we do is we collect them all, and depending upon how close they are and what supersedes that, we would appropriate the money for that purpose.
So that's a request that we would make directly through the planning department after the consultants come out with the design?
I don't see why not. I mean, that's one way. It could go through DPW, and generally DPW participates in this as well to make.
I mean, all the work is there. We're about 50% there, 60, even more, even greater. And I just want to be able to get to that final point where we've made an improvement, not just talked about designing.
Yeah, generally speaking, the way the collaboration with DPW goes with particularly roadway projects, is on the planning side, we're really able to help get funding to get the design for Richardson Ave. Is the project you're talking about, right?
That's one of them.
Yeah. We usually, once we secure the funding, we work with DPW to work out the design. Depending on the scale of the project, there's a lot of more engagement, as you know. As soon as we get to 100% design, we typically hand that off to DPW for execution. That's pretty standard across communities. The planning will help with sort of planning in terms of identifying project and sort of bringing the planning process design. Generally speaking, DPWs would execute on implementation.
So we could still work to get these through.
Yeah.
And there's money in the budget to do that.
I don't believe. No, there's no. As far as I know, there's no single line item for capital items for roadway projects that I know of.
Right, that's correct. There's none now, but as we get closer to the date, we hope to have some funds.
There's a number of different projects throughout the whole city. There's residents that want to see better crosswalks, especially around schools for safety purposes. We can come to this to Aaron with all these ideas, and he can sub it out to different consultants, but we don't get past that. So where in the budget can we make sure that we're funding these smaller projects to get past it? We're completing at 60% and then moving on, and then the list is just going to keep getting longer and longer and longer and longer, and these smaller neighborhoods are being forgotten about.
I guess my suggestion would be to take it on a case-by-case basis. When it goes to that DPW, if there's any extra things that we need to do or that we want to look at, that would be the time. I mean, we're not broke by any means, but we still have to be responsible. And if there is an opportunity to do something different at that point in time when it's closer to, like Aaron said, 100% design, and we have our say on it, if there needs to be more money, that's when a request could go in. And, we should be, small requests we should be able to handle, but we don't want to, commit money because we have so much going on in the city between planning and DPW and ISD. We want to allocate the resources closer to the finish line because we don't want to partially fund 30 projects. I'd rather know I can get to the finish line on 4 of these and then fund those.
Right. Well, I mean, when we're in neighborhoods, we're talking to the residents, they're sharing their concerns with us, we're trying to come up with ideas, we're working with Aaron, working with the consultants, we get a design phase, and then they say, well, where are we at? And they say, we don't have money to do it. We don't have money to finish what was designed. So that's what I'm told. So I want to make sure that we can continue.
Sure, I would bring it up more or at least reach out to myself, the DPW director, Aaron, and we can all sit together to try to address these needs. But again,
I just want to be able to give the people that are
yeah, you want to be try to be as proactive as you can and give us, if you know the opportunity. Like you said, in this business, things get pushed off a lot, and we've been talking about some projects that have been in the pipeline for 7 years, and they're not going to happen for another 2 or 3. So, there's a lot more things that can happen between 0 and 7 years we want to let happen. But on a case-by-case, bring them up, and we'll do the best we can.
There's been a lot of work on one of those particular projects, and it's like, it makes it look like we just ended it and walked away from it. It didn't come anything. So it didn't change the situation. It just means we got to an idea, and that's it. So it doesn't look good for anybody. It doesn't look good for the city. It doesn't look good, Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Paris?
I do have a follow-up question. So before you sit down, Mike, no, sorry. Well, just thinking about budget allocations in general, like obviously the city receives a lot of grant funding and things of that nature. I think it would be really important to also include within the budget how many grants have been accepted within the budget, just because some of these items are difficult to kind of conceptualize. So like, let's say there is $50,000 allocated to a certain fund, but then there's maybe $200,000 allocated by a certain grant. And sometimes these grants, or oftentimes, they're only covering a portion of a project, similar to what Councilor Fields had mentioned, in which case that part is going to be done and we have to now wait until there's another opportunity that comes along and we can apply for that and also be accepted, right? Like there's a progression that the city might not necessarily have control over, but should probably keep in mind as we're making these decisions. And I think it would be really helpful to have that context alongside of this so we can see how the budget is being allocated in tandem to these other levers that are happening. And I'm not sure if that document already exists or just...
We've been talking a lot about this over the years about, establishing a protocol, centralizing things, because a lot of it is everyone's competing for the same dollars. And like I said before, if something's not going to happen for 3 or 4 years and we have a boiler that's at the end of useful life, that may go to the boiler. When I opened up the process, I explained that it is tight. Money is tight, but we can do these things. I think it's important when a grant is accepted or allocated, you ask the recipient, the person that's applying for the grant, what is the total cost? Is there going to be a match? Do we need to add any resources? Because we get a lot of grants in the city for different projects. Sometimes the grant restricts you on everything. If you're going to take the state or the Fed's money, you're going to have to do certain things their way, and you don't have a say. And some things are a little bit more lenient, and you do have a say. But I think at the time that the project is anticipated, there should be, a soft budget presented with every grant opportunity to make sure that there's resources available to finish the other 40% or 30% of the project. Because at that point in time, as if it's within striking distance, we would allocate the money. But we're still digging ourselves out of a lot of the deferred maintenance over 40, 50, 60, 80 years. So that's why it's harder to plan for the future for us more than other communities that have been more diligent. I mean, if you look at our school buildings, they'll tell you that 50% are over 100 years old. We're probably one of the last places in the Commonwealth for that. So we have a lot of catching up to do. I'm not making excuses, but I'm saying we have to be very calculated in where we put our resources to make sure we get to the finish line on each one, and we don't have 3 or 4 started without getting to that finish line.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's just more of allowing that clarity, because when you look at this, you're missing.
Yeah, remember, this is the general fund budget. You know, it's from the general tax dollars, and some communities have the ability to put, you know, additional resources in there. You know, we're a gateway city. The median income is not as high as it is in other places, so that's a struggle, and it's been a struggle, and it's going to be a struggle until we can get that tax base up and get the separation going. It takes a lot of time. I mean, communities like Somerville and Cambridge and Arlington, that didn't happen overnight. You know, that happens over a long stretch.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Does the committee have any more questions?
No.
No? All right, well, thank you, Aaron.
You have any? So I reserve time, you know.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so now I would like to call Mayor's Chief of Staff, John, to please come to the podium and present to us the mayor's budget.
Good evening. Do you guys want to hear my auctioneer impression here, or what?
Yep.
Yeah. Good evening, council members. Thank you for having me here tonight to present the FY27 budget for the mayor's office. In addition to myself and the mayor, we have a team of 7 dedicated members focused on delivering the best city services to residents that we possibly can. We strive to exhibit respect for all people within the city and place a high priority on constituent service, responsiveness, transparency, accountability, and equity. We are constantly looking at ways to increase civic pride and engagement and work tirelessly to improve the overall quality of life for all in Lynn. We work with partners at the state and federal level to relay the city's priorities and collaborate on mutual goals. We've been working closely with the CFO on our office's operating budget, and while it is not without its challenges, we do still carry out on key priorities, including increasing civic engagement through community events and ensuring provision of services to our residents through programs like C-Click Fix, and we also field many constituent calls, emails, and in-person requests. We've maintained fiscal prudency this year for the budget for the mayor's office, aside from an increase in labor attorney fees. For the 4th year, our office has worked with all city departments to host Inside Out, which will happen in September. And this past year, we welcomed the community into City Hall for a Halloween event featuring doors decorated by city departments, as well as a tree lighting and holiday event in City Hall Square. Students from across the city joined us for yet another amazing Student Government Day, and we're anxiously awaiting the plans for the 4th of July fireworks, or I guess 3rd of July fireworks. I do want to hit on the Youth Safety and Opportunity Collaborative, which launched in February. This summer, we're excited to host a 6-week summer speaker series designed to connect teens and young adults to successful entrepreneurs for those entrepreneurs to share their career goals and hopefully provide strong mentorship. We continue to focus on reinvigorating city boards and committees with diverse and qualified appointments, and invite residents interested in getting involved to please reach out to our office. Excited to see the efforts that you all have taken to do the same here in the City Council. We will soon be sending out letters and plans for the 400th Anniversary Planning Committee, and we remain committed to engaging residents and fully embrace our community's many identities at each and every flag raising we host, heritage events, including tonight's Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Event Month celebration, and the vendor fairs that we host as well. To sustain our language access program, we have reconfigured the mayor's office to bring those responsibilities into permanent positions, and we will continue to get creative in order to sustain the great work that we have undertaken to remove language barriers for our residents. This includes the provision of a 2-way language access device for many departments in order to facilitate interactions with constituents whose first language is not English and when our interpreters are not available. On June 23rd, we will celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Lynn Com team, which has seen over 800 interactions with residents as an unarmed response as assisting those residents. We've continued community canvases in neighborhoods across the city with many of you, and those will begin again next Wednesday. We hope you'll join us. We also look forward to delivering the administrative code to you all, which we have been diligently working on with the Collins Center. And we also are excited to have announced the Lynn Relief Fund in partnership with Al Hand and the United Way, which launched last week. We look forward to building on these successes in the coming fiscal year, and thank you for having me. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, John. Before I put it onto the committee, I do have 2 questions.
Sure.
The first one, I noticed that your legal services expenses went up $40,000.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Does that have anything to, can we avoid that by using the city solicitors, or what exactly is that? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Lawyers are not cheap. So that actually is the result of the city hiring our new city solicitor, John Slattery, who was formerly our labor counsel. We put out an RFI and RFP to solicit services, and through that we were able to come to an agreement with the new solicitor, labor counsel, and that increase reflects the increase in the contract. I think your question is good. Could we use inside services to do that? But typically for labor counsel, we usually use an outside representative.
Okay, thank you. Another question was the inauguration expense for next year. You have $12,000 now. There's no inauguration next year. Is that going to be transferred to any specific fund after that, or since we don't have an inauguration next year?
Yep, that's a good question also. These are typically the line items that have existed for some time just within the Munis report, and so as we level fund them, that's sort of what's reflected there. Typically what we'll do is repurpose those funds within our budget where we may need to make up for funding. So you're absolutely right that there's not inauguration expenses, but we'll probably use that elsewhere.
All right, well, thank you. So now I'm going to put it out to the committee. Does the committee have any questions? Councilor Avery?
Mr. Tebow, thank you. It's my first time for budget. If you can kind of explain to me the $45,000 for outside professional services, I'm assuming, and what type of services are being provided to the mayor's office, and do those are they contracts? What is it? I don't really know. I appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. So that line is specifically for, we have communications consultant that we bring on that's like citywide services. So as we generate communications, whether it be by social media that we're not able to do in-house, or press releases, communication, anything like that. So that pays for a contract that we have with PKH Consulting.
Then my next question was just on the payroll salaries, obviously over $75,000 increase. I know that you had an employee leave, and I don't think that position got filled. Where's the difference, I guess, and especially in that vacancy that was there before?
Yep, nope, that's absolutely accurate. That number is from contractual obligations that we have. We also pulled in our language access coordinator. So we didn't fill the position, but I think we fully recognize, as do our colleagues here, that language access is extremely important. So what was previously funded solely by ARPA, which runs out at the end of the year, we were able to pull that in and put it permanently on our payroll, citing the importance of that work.
Great. Yes, and language access is very important, especially in a city like this, and Berta and your team does a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Councilor Avery. Does the committee have any more questions? Councilor Field?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, is the general reserves under mayoral staff, or is that just in its own?
That is not under. That's not under our department budget.
All right. Thank you.
John, the expense to maintain the city's website, is that under your department, or would that be under technology and information?
So, if I'm not mistaken,
I did notice that there was like a $200,000 expense to revamp the website, and it's one of the things that not only do we as councilors get a lot of complaints about, but also on social media, there's people are always posting about the website. Sometimes it's not working. Sometimes you click on the links and it's not working at all. But I did see that there was $200,000 last year that we allocated to revamp the city's website.
Yeah, and that's an initiative that we undertook a few years ago to really overhaul the city's website. I'm not exactly, I don't know exactly where the $200,000 citation is, but I guess I would say the funding that pays for the website, to my understanding, comes out of PAG, which is an amount that's paid to us from cable services provider. And I should say it's a little premature, but right now we're working, Valerie Vong and I are working to try and finalize a contract to have the city website hosted by a new company, which would overhaul the website and just provide better services and communication for our residents.
I'm trying to see if I can
think it
find
went through
I think it
ARPA.
came out of the ARPA funds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it is too.
Then that's probably a carryover from the original allocation, because it went down considerably. And I should note too that amount, $200,000, was when we overhauled the city websites. That the school's website was overhauled at that time as well.
Oh, okay. Well, does the committee have any more questions? Does the committee have any more questions or comments?
No, thank you.
No? Well, thank you, John.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you. All right, so I would like to call Councilor Hogan to the podium, please, to present to us the city council. Oh, you can just do it from here? You don't have to, okay. I thought you needed to come to the podium.
So you got a very comfortable seat here, Councilman.
Last but not least, Councilor Hogan.
Chairman, the Lynn City Council budget is level funded, and we can live with our budget. Thank you.
Does the rest of the councilors have any questions about the city council budget?
No copy paper for us?
All righty, well, I want to thank everybody who was here this afternoon. Councilor Field, before we...
If Mr. Bertino can just come up, I just have one quick question under the general.
Mr. Bertino, can you please come up to the podium?
Thanks, Mike. Just one quick question. Sure. On the wage stabilization, it's a significant decrease. Is that because of the contract negotiations? Is that what that was?
Exactly. With the contract, that's why last year you saw a much higher amount. We're just about done with everybody, but not everybody.
So that's why we see some of the salary increases through every department.
Exactly. And the reason we do it that way, there's really two trains of thought. Yeah, I could have piecemealed everything in, but then if somebody's comparing last year's book to the same time to this year's book, they're like, what's going on here? That's why it's static. It's last year submitted versus this year submitted.
And a lot of it's retroactive from...
Exactly, because that's a 2-year thing. And so that's why, because you can't presume anything, because then you wouldn't be negotiating in good faith. So we put the money in that wage stab. We bring you withdrawals from that as contract settles. And like I said, a lot of our departments have multiple unions within each one, so it's not everybody. So that's why we do it on a static basis, the budget last year versus the budget this year.
Thank you for coming up to clarify that. I know a lot of the questions tonight from colleagues were about the significant increase. It's not just for fiscal year 27, but it's retro for 26 with those contract agreements.
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you.
Any more questions?
Any more questions for CFO Bertino?
One more?
One more? Last one? No?
Okay.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody who came out to this hearing. What is the wish of the committee?
Motion adjourned.
All right. Have a good night.
Nice job, Council.
Good.
I'm back, so I've been a little bit annoying getting some of these numbers, yeah. But just to kind of give you some quants, for example, in the high school, we saw that iReady had like 14% usage. So we are tracking exactly what you're saying. And also we have some of the money and the ROI and all that stuff. But we can share that after we finish, yeah.
Return of investment.
Yes, the return on investment, all these programs. And just from also last quant, I think we had like 42 platforms. Now we're down to like 34. So we're still trimming down. Yeah.
Great.
But again, it's strategic. It's not just quantitative. It's like which one, to Lori's point, are the ones that we need.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation. So I'm looking through this, and Brenda sort of asked the first question I had was on Teach Point Power School Professional Learning. So that's answered, thank you. How are these changes being paid for? That sort of, Brian just asked that, but what I want to know specifically are, a lot of these programs, are they attached to like a curriculum or grants?
A lot of them do end up being attached to grants or partially to grants. None of them are a curriculum that we're using. It's not like a curriculum adoption. There's supplemental ways for us to gather the information from our students to know whether the curriculum we're using is effectively moving them in instruction. So it's having diagnostics. It's having what the folks from the PRISM grant have been working on with their walkthroughs and data collection. Special education has been working with a group from DESE around the walkthroughs and what's needed. We've worked with TNTP around and SSOS